England's World Cup squad very shortly. We'll be live to Wembley in just a few moments' time. You can have your say on social media as well. Take a look at our Instagram. There's all sorts of stuff from there. Gabby Agbonlahor, by the way, in Istanbul. Loads of videos on Instagram from Istanbul. Let's go to Wembley. Let's head to talkSPORT's England correspondent, Faye Carruthers.
Thank you very much, Aid. Confirmation that, as talkSPORT have been reporting for the last 24 hours, the squad is very much the 26 that we've been letting you know over that time. I'm going to read them out in total, but the headlines are: Ivan Toney is in. John Stones, despite missing so much of the season, also in. The big names that we said that were out, as expected: Maguire, Phil Foden, Cole Palmer, all out as we knew. But let me go through the squad in full for you. The three keepers, as we've been reporting: Dean Henderson, James Trafford and Jordan Pickford. Defenders: Dan Burn, Jed Spence, Reece James, Ezri Konsa, Jarell Quansah, wish they weren't next to each other, John Stones, Mark Gahey, Nico O'Reilly, Tino Livramento, also who's been having injury problems this season. The midfield is Declan Rice, Eberici Eze, Elliot Anderson, Jordan Henderson, Jude Bellingham, Kobbie Mainoo, as we've been reporting, and Morgan Rogers. And the forwards: Anthony Gordon, Bukayo Saka, Harry Kane, Ivan Toney, Marcus Rashford, Noni Madueke and Ollie Watkins. They are the 26 players, bar injury, of course, because Harry Kane is involved in a cup final for Bayern Munich tomorrow. We've got the Arsenal players involved in the Champions League final additionally, bar any injuries, because we've got the Premier League as well this weekend on the final day. Those are the 26 players all heading out to North America in Thomas Tuchel's World Cup squad. I mean, look, we've been dissecting it all morning. The biggest headline for me is Maguire missing and Ivan Toney included. I can give you my reasons as to why I think that is the case. Maguire is a centre-back. He doesn't play in any other position behind that line. Thomas Tuchel has said to me previously that he's his fifth choice centre-back. Jarell Quansah is in there because he can play across the back line. In addition, Dan Burn can play left-back as well. Ezri Konsa can play right-back, so I understand the versatility there. John Stones is the big question because of the injuries that he's had, but he is a phenomenal player. And Thomas Tuchel, when he spoke to me in the last camp, said, you know, he hopes that he's not fit. They'll manage it, that he's fit, they'll manage his minutes, etc. Ivan Toney, we know what he can deliver from the penalty spot. He's delivered for England in a major tournament before. Yes, he's only played 5 minutes for Thomas Tuchel in that June game against Senegal, but he plays in Saudi Arabia, where they play in temperatures of 30 degrees and above. So he is already acclimatised to playing in in that kind of heat. And it also then takes away the question mark of so many of the players who can play a false nine. Well, we've got 3 strikers, including Ollie Watkins and Harry Kane, which means that we don't have to keep having the conversation of Marcus Rashford playing as a false nine, or Anthony Gordon. So those are my 2 big decisions that Thomas Tuchel has made and why I think he's made them. But of course, I'll be sitting down with him in the next hour or so to get confirmation as to what his thought process was.
Faye, when you just mentioned, you know, hopefully there'll be no injuries, but when you mentioned that, my heart sank, because straight away you said the name Harry Kane, and we all know Harry, and all you were saying was he's got a cup final to play, so, you know, hopefully and fingers crossed nothing will happen, but without him it feels to me like we're a bit doomed. Having said that, do you think there's a case to say given the length of this World Cup and the heat of the World Cup and what you've just said about Ivan Toney there, Harry Kane might not actually start group games for England?
I don't know about that. It depends. So the acclimatisation camp is really key. Bayern Munich not getting to the... Sorry, somebody's just talking to me in my ear, but I can't... what I was trying to say was Harry Kane, basically, if he starts, it's all about the acclimatisation. That's what I was saying. Champions League is really important. So Bayern Munich not getting to the Champions League final gives Harry Kane more time out in Florida, where they're acclimatising to the intense temperatures that they're going to have to deal with in the World Cup. He is going to be able to have that prep camp that he may not have done, which some of the Arsenal players aren't going to have because they're in the Champions League final, which is really key. So actually frankly, I do think that Harry Kane will start group games. We've seen that before, but he will have to manage his minutes for sure. And I think that is really important. I think having 3 strikers, it's something that we questioned previously in squad announcements, is how many strikers he'd decided to say. So I think that is really important. I did mention Reece James, by the way. The producer was saying to me, I don't think Reece James was mentioned. I did mention him, by the way, which is why I'm now sounding completely confused, Aid. He was. Okay. I mentioned him.
Reece James is in. For those anybody who's in any doubt, Reece James is definitely in. Faye did say that. So, listen, there will be players that are disappointed. It's great to get it confirmed. I mean, most of those stories talkSPORT had unearthed anyway. I just want to focus on the John Stones thing. And you've spoken to Thomas Tuchel many times. We've both interviewed John Stones on England camps. And you mentioned there, a phenomenal player, and he has been a phenomenal player for Manchester City and for England as well. You and I both respect what John Stones has brought for club and country. Is he still a phenomenal player? Because he's played 8 minutes of Premier League football since December the 2nd. I think it's a highly controversial pick from Thomas Tuchel.
I wouldn't go as far as you in terms of being highly controversial. I would have predicted that John Stones would be in because of the conversations I've had with Thomas Tuchel and how highly he rates John Stones' leadership qualities behind the scenes. And we know that he's brought in Dan Burn, Jordan Henderson as an example. That's really crucial. And John Stones has been such a stalwart of the England squads over the years that I would have been more shocked had he been left out, even though that sounds bizarre when you think about the amount of minutes he's played. I think probably, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because Reece James is injury prone and has only just come back from another layoff, that right back position, which Jed Spence can obviously play, Tino Livramento can obviously play, but also Ezri Konsa can play. That's my slight question mark, because if the first two centre-back, if the first choice centre-back pairings are Mark Guehi and Ezri Konsa, which I think they are, bearing in mind the injury problems that John Stones has had, and then we get a problem at right back, and Ezri may have to move to right back. That's where it starts to get a bit tricky. But actually, all of the players, are flexible and versatile in that back line, bar Mark Guehi, who just tends to play as a centre-back. Everybody else can play in a different position, including John Stones, who can play in midfield. And I think that is really important. He's clearly looking ahead as to managing minutes, players who've had long seasons, players who are injury prone. It's risky, without a doubt, but I can understand the thinking behind it.
Faye, I'm looking at the squad and put them down in their thirds, basically, in their positional situations. And he's picked 9 defenders. Normally you would go with probably 8 in the hope that someone could fill in a defensive position. I think the fact that because he's got question marks on fitness with Stones, with James, and maybe even Livramento thrown into that with his injury record, I think that is what's cost the likes of Cole Palmer a place in this squad. I really do. The fact that he's got to safeguard his back line, so he's picked 9 players there. That's how I'm seeing this. And one of the players, normally what you say, you put more players in your team that can get you a goal to win you a game. Defensively, you can probably mix and match, maybe. And I think he's added that extra defender because of those injury situations and question marks of those 3.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right with that. And, if it's Cole Palmer, who was next on the list, is the player that's missed out, then, that is a shame, because he is a maverick. We know what he can bring, but we just haven't seen it enough. What I do like about Cole Palmer is he has played in these temperatures out in the US. He did it last year and won the FIFA Club World Cup. So for me, that's why I perhaps would have included Palmer, but you can't look at his form over this season, and perhaps that's because of the exertions of the Club World Cup that he has then broken down on numerous occasions. He's had a problem with his groin that just does not seem to go away. It recurs quite a lot, so perhaps not worth the risk. And we always talk about defence winning tournaments, and yet some of the question marks are that why are we taking an extra defender? Well, if defences win tournaments, then it makes sense to take the extra defender. Then you've got Nico O'Reilly, who can drift into midfield anyway. So you do have some of those defensive players who are attacking minded. Reece James also attacking minded down the right hand side. So, I think you could put a different 26 together and make an argument for every single player included or excluded. And I think what you have to do is look at the balance, look at the context, and this is why Thomas Tuchel and his team have come to a lot of these decisions. I also wanted to mention that the heat training that they did back in June in that camp that we went to in Spain, and they will have stats on all of the players and who did well under exertion in those kind of temperatures, and that's going to be really key for both for the warm-up camp and then as soon as they get to Kansas, and they will know the kind of players that are able to cope in those kind of temperatures and still, you know, deliver the level of performance that you're going to need in what is going to be, without the 2 warm-up games, 8 games in 33 days in, you know, quite differing temperatures across North America. And I think that will have played into a lot of their thinking as they've compiled this 26 as well.
I just want to ask you about leadership, because we've talked about Dan Burn being part of the leadership group and being well respected by the others. So even if not playing, he will be a huge part of the squad. Jordan Henderson, exactly the same. Rarely will he, well, I don't think he will start for England, probably never again in his career, but plays the odds substitute appearance, few minutes here and there at the end of games. How important, you've spoken to Thomas Tuchel a lot about this, how important are these leadership figures? You know, because some are saying they should be there in a coaching capacity rather than playing capacity, taking up a vital squad place.
I think that's disrespectful, because they're playing in the Premier League, these players. Jordan Henderson plays for Brentford, Dan Burn plays for Newcastle, John Stones plays for Manchester City. They are so important. I think everybody who I've spoken to within the England setup with regard to Euro 2024 in Germany highlighted how missed Jordan Henderson was behind the scenes. I don't think you can underestimate how important having players like that keep everybody grounded, that are the conduit between, you know, the different groups of players, although they are very united. You know, there are certain players that galvanise the youngsters, perhaps. You know, we know the relationship that Jordan Henderson has with Jude Bellingham, that can potentially help him while he's out there, and he's one of our crucial players. You know, I think it's really easy as players age in particular, and perhaps lose their legs ever so slightly, but they're still operating at the highest level in the Premier League, and yet we're still suggesting that they shouldn't be playing for England. Well, they've got both aspects there. They play for Brentford, have done brilliant things this season. Newcastle perhaps undersold themselves this season, but you know, these are players that play at the highest level week in, week out, and they've now done it for England, and Jordan Henderson has done it for England for many years. So I actually think they are very important, and there are certain players that if they don't in a squad, and Stu will attest to this, some players can't cope with not getting any minutes in a major tournament. Others, and you know, we always cite Conor Cody as a perfect example of that, for example. Some players are so vital because they don't kick off if they're not involved, because in training they're vital in pushing their teammates who are going to go then and deliver on the training pitch. You know, these players are just as important as the starting 11 that go out there and the 5 substitutes that come on to try and win the game.
Faye, you're going to have a busy day, so we'll let you digest that squad a little bit more. Faye Carruthers outside Wembley with news of the England squad, which I'll repeat for you in just a second. And actually, just thinking about it then, no England reporter anywhere on the planet has asked Thomas Tuchel more questions than Faye Carruthers since he started the job. So if anybody's going to know about Thomas Tuchel and his thinking, it's going to be Faye Carruthers. Overall, we now know the squad officially. Stuart Pearce, so what's your verdict? Are they bringing it home? Are we going to win the World Cup with that squad?
If we defend well enough, we'll cause a lot of teams a lot of problems. We got enough in the midfield area and at the front end of the team. I'm really pleased with the 2/3 of the team. Pickford, obviously a permanent fixture in goal. Trafford's come on to brilliant form as well, which I like. Defensively is the question mark, where we'll travel to the States and think, are we going to be good enough collectively, defensively, to bring some silverware home?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? We talked about little sliding doors moments and one person's decision. Man United decided to get rid of Amorim, brought in Carrick. He put Kobbie Mainoo back in the team. Colby Main, who's going to the World Cup, means the likes of James Garner or Alex Scott, they miss out. Stuart, really enjoyed it this morning.
Pleasure, Ray. Thank you.
We will bring you more reaction to that England World Cup squad very shortly. Sam Matterface, Alex Crook, Gabby Agbonlahor are coming up. And we'll hear from Thomas Tuchel as well. There'll be podcasts heading out on the talkSPORT Daily and a special one on the England squad very, very shortly. So stick with us on talkSPORT.
You're my someone hell of a beating. Can you hear me? The Europa League champions, do me a favour. Jude Law, Chicky. Can you hear me, Chicky? You're my someone hell of a beating. Can you hear me, Roberto Dispersi? You're my someone hell of a beating. Roberto Dispersi. You're my someone hell of a beating. Big Cockrell, Ron Weasley, Beavertown Brewery. Can you hear me, Jamie O'Hara? Can you hear me, Jamie O'Hara? You're my someone hell of a beating. Can you hear me? Encourage inside. Can you hear me? Encourage inside. Can you hear me? Encourage inside. You're my someone hell of a beating. The SA side. Maybe a better walk. You quite side. Adele, Lord Sugar, Tadarius the Pooh. Can you hear me, Tadarius the Pooh? You're my someone hell of a beating. Tadarius the Pooh. Tadarius the Pooh. Tadarius the Pooh. Can you hear me, Tadarius the Pooh? You're my someone hell of a beating.
I can't believe you just pulled out them two masks. I cannot believe what I've just seen. And we get beat 2-1 at the bridge again, mate.
O'Hara.
Oh, mate.
O'Hara's got an imp's mask. He's got his,
I can't believe you've got an O'Hara mask. Where have you're sneaky, you lot. Yous are so bad. Honestly, yous are horrible. I don't know why I work here. I don't know why I work here. This is unbelievable stuff. All the stuff I do for this station, and that's how I get treated.
What do you mean?
You go and order an O'Hara mask and wear it on the night that Spurs get beat against Chelsea.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
I don't know what you're talking
mate,
about.
take the mask off. Please, take the mask off, mate. I can't.
Is it Jay?
Oh,
Jay.
what a bad night, mate. What
Mate, listen, you drew the second half, mate.
Oh, mate, don't start. Don't start.
I mean,
I knew it was going to be bad.
Listen, I don't know why you fall out with me over this. You drew the second half. And to be fair, I like the way that you kept...
It's Danny Dyer! Wig, not wig.
It's a nutty canister, either way. I mean, look at the nut.
Bob Odenkirk! Saul was great. He was just a breath of fresh air. Amelia Clark! Star Wars versus Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, definitely. I'm loyal.
Don't tell me. Alex Hassel!
In season 2, a lot of us get our clothes off.
You do know you did that in season 1.
Exactly, that's true, yeah. Sorry.
Hello, very good morning. You're listening to Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Gabby Agbonlahor live on talkSPORT this morning. Turn up the volume in the car, drop whatever you are doing at work and get close to the speakers because the wait is officially over. After almost 18 months in charge, Thomas Tuchel has finally made his final decision on the 28-man squad to take to North America for the World Cup that kicks off in just 20 days live on talkSPORT. Some big names are missing, some surprise inclusions are already making headlines, but there's only one question that really matters. Can they win the World Cup? And you may have forgotten amongst the England drama, but there is still one more match day in the Premier League to look ahead to, with a massive race for Europe and a relegation battle involving Tottenham and West Ham still to discuss as well. And we build up to the Championship playoff final with Hull and Middlesbrough in and Southampton out. This is Matterface, Crook and Agbonlahor. We're live on talkSPORT. What a big day it has been. England squad is out. Thomas Tuchel has gone big. He's gone bold. He's gone brave. The headline isn't who's in. It's probably who's out. No Palmer, no Foden, no Maguire. All left at home. And Ivan Toney is in. And this is how much of a surprise Ivan Toney's inclusion is. This morning, he was where, Gabby Agbonlahor?
So I went to get my work visa at US Embassy this morning at 8 o'clock. Luckily, I was rushed through by an Arsenal fan. Didn't expect that. But as I was walking out from it, Ivan Toney was walking in to get his visa done. I said, congratulations, and he just said, thank you. So that shows the shock that...
So he hadn't got... most people by now would have their visas to go to the United States. The England squad leaving in less than 10 days' time. It actually takes almost 2 weeks sometimes to get your visa. So he went today. He found out today to go and get his visa.
Yeah, and as I left, the lady says you probably get your passport between 8 and 10 days. Yeah. So, like, look how late he's left it. And what I like,
though... available for the first warm-up game.
What I like, though, was that he was on his own. Yeah. But Lord Simon Jordan had to have someone from talkSPORT take him. Well, Ivan Toney went on his own.
Right, OK. As I mentioned, some big omissions. No Palmer, no Foden, no Maguire, but Ivan Toney is in. And Thomas Tuchel has been speaking the last few minutes to the official England app, explaining exactly why he has made those big decisions.
Yeah, it's hard to please, and I think in the end, we have to pick the squad that we as a staff are convinced and then that we love and that we really believe. Because you were players on the highest level. You feel the love of your coach. You feel the trust, and if there are doubts, you just don't play on the same level. So in the end, it comes down to that: whom do we really trust? Who delivered for us? Who created a culture, especially from September onwards? Who set the standards? Who were the drivers? Who was the leadership group? And then we heavily relied on that, because I think the connection has to be there. It is not fully out of the picture what the public thinks and what the media thinks, because somehow it's a bit of a tool to challenge myself. What would I think from the outside? Is this now totally crazy? Do we talk ourselves now into a corner and this is too much of a theoretical approach? But mostly it's about the energy and the connection and the trust between me and the players.
Alex Crook is here, so is Gabby Agbonlahor, and I'm delighted to say that Stuart Pearce has stayed with us as well. And Stuart, let's just get to it straight away. I understand he's rung all of the players that were involved in the March camp, just in case that they needed an explanation as to why they weren't in the squad. But that one is really interesting, isn't it? That I've gone back to September, October and November when they were qualifying for the World Cup. That harmony, that trust in the group has been key.
Yeah, and as he said, and we spoke about it, myself and Aid earlier, all these things feed into a manager. He'll court opinion of his staff around him, and you've got to get that balance in your group that you're happy with. What do all these individual characters, these 26, bring to the party? They've got to bring their ability, that's a given, but personality as well. And all these things feed into the group that he's brought here. I've got to say, I'm a little bit surprised Ivan Toney's in the squad, not for his ability and his goals, because they go before him, fantastic. The fact that he's hardly featured over this sort of calendar year for England has been really surprising that he's ended up on the plane.
Go back to the last time that he was involved, which was back in June, that Senegal game up at Nottingham Forest's ground. He played, a couple of minutes?
Yeah, which, that is the big surprise, I think. Not on ability, not... what he's done, he's scored goals where he's been, his goal record's absolutely comparable. I take all that, but how come he's featured so lightly over this calendar year if he's going to be on an aeroplane at the American embassy getting his visa now.
And I think also, and he might correct us later, Thomas Tuchel, when Faye Carruthers sits down with him, I think I'm right in saying he's not been to watch Ivan Toney in person in Saudi Arabia. So basically, he's judged this selection off his goal record, which, as you say, is phenomenal, easy for me to say, this season, and obviously watching him on videos. But I'm surprised because it was a pretty open secret that he wasn't impressed with Tony's levels in training in that camp last summer, which is why he did only get a few sparing minutes at the end of the game at Nottingham Forest. So, yeah, you're right. That's the big shock for me. Also, what you were saying there about he's picked players, you know, who've shown leadership skills and delivered. If you're Harry Maguire and you're listening to that, I think you're going to feel even more sore today because this is someone who clearly has leadership skills. He's delivered for England whenever he's pulled on the shirt. I think he's been in teams of the tournament twice at previous tournaments. He's been in good form for Manchester United. I love Dan Burn. I think his story is fantastic, but I'm struggling to get in my head, other than the fact he can play at left back, why you would take Dan Burn and not Harry Maguire.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things here. When you talk, if you just put Harry Maguire up and put a direct comparison of maybe Dan Burn, you would say it's a really tight call. When you put a direct comparison of Maguire and Stones, with Stones' lack of football over the time, I'm not talking ability, but he's not been on a football pitch. You find it a little baffling as well. Also, as well, when you sitting with your squad and you're looking to pick a squad of 26, you say, how many defenders do we need? I would normally go with 8.
There's 9, isn't there?
There's 9. And I wonder whether, mentioned earlier, question marks on Stone's fitness, James's fitness, and maybe Livramento's. 3 players has put an extra defender in his mind to cover that, which I think has been at the cost of Cole Palmer at the front end of the team looking at this.
Well, let's be ultimately clear. When you go through the squad, Livramento's played 164 minutes in the Premier League since the last international break. James has played 83 minutes of the Cup final, but not played against Spurs. He played 27 minutes off the bench against Liverpool at Anfield the week before. Stones, since the 2nd of December, has featured 4 times for Manchester City, totalling just 253 minutes of action. And Jed Spence, I mean, look, he played 70 minutes against Uruguay in the friendly on the Friday night of the last international break, but he's only started once under Roberto De Zerbi. So it's not as if everybody in that back line is playing regular football.
I guess you can look at that 2 ways. You could say there's a risk because they've not played many minutes, or you could say actually they're coming in fresher than some of the players because they've not played so many minutes. Looking at your face, Stuart, you think they should have had a lot more minutes under their belt.
I think people are a little bit deluded with this word fresh. Listen, I'm fresh. I ain't played for 20 years. Don't make me a better player, you know? I think it's very, very misleading. People say being fresh. I like to get in a routine, a rhythm, 90 minutes, going to major tournaments. I'm sure Gab's the same. If you said to him, like, have a month off and then deliver, well, he'd probably take that. I'm wrong individual, sorry, but most people, most normal human beings need the consistency of playing. And this fresh, it's a red herring. Honestly, it really is. You're telling me, leave me out and don't play me a great deal since the 2nd of December in John Stones is going to be helpful this summer. I don't see it.
And he has a history of picking up injuries. Didn't he pull out the last squad injured at the last minute?
He did, but the other thing to mention is that he always seems to be available for England, especially at major tournaments, and he has managed to do that regularly. It's worth pointing out, though, with John, with Tino Livramento, with Reece James, with Jed Spence, with Dan Burn, with O'Reilly, with Kwanzaa, all of those are so versatile. They can play in a variety of different positions and can... Listen, James has been playing in midfield for Chelsea. John Stones has been talked about as a number 6 by Thomas Tuchel himself, even just a year ago. Spence can play left back and right back, so can Livramento. So there's a lot of versatility in that squad.
It's only 8 games, though.
The one thing that was 10 games with the 2 warm-ups, but yeah, there will be a lot of changes. But the other thing that worries me a little bit, not worries me, but maybe I'll get your opinion on it, Gabby.
Yes.
Only 8 of these players have ever played at a World Cup before. If you go through it, there's a hell of a lot of players I think it's 10 players who haven't played at a major tournament before. Would that concern you?
It would in a way, of course, but this manager looks like he's going to do it his way. Judge me at the end of the tournament. I don't care what the media think. I don't care about upsetting players. To leave out Harry Maguire, Foden and Palmer I get. They've not been in great form, but the shock one for me is Harry Maguire. Gibbs White as well. Ivan Toney,
Lewis
people,
Hall?
yeah, people question Lewis Hall as well. But he's picked a squad of players that he thinks is the best squad of players to win this tournament. He don't care what anyone says. He doesn't care about experience in other World Cups. Harry Maguire, that's the one that shocked me the most because he would have been thinking, I'm 100% on that plane.
Well, I don't think he did think he was 100% on the plane. He was confident, as far as I understand it. And I think he had every right to be confident, bearing in mind his performances for Manchester United towards the end of the season and his experience with England. One of the big things is about that experience being in an England team and an England setup. This is the longest World Cup ever.
Do you know the bizarre thing? We're sat here talking about who's in and who's out. And actually, Nigel Adley, one of our commentators, made a good point. He has watched Tony play a lot in the Saudi Pro League this season, often in temperatures of 35 degrees plus. So that might be part of the reasoning.
That makes sense.
He scored 10 out of 11 penalties. I mean, if we go to a shootout, Ivan Toney should be on the pitch to take one. But of all the players we're talking about being left out and being included, Trent Alexander-Arnold is no longer a talking point. And Dean Saunders was talking about this on kickoff last night after we reported that he wouldn't be in the squad. His view is that Trent Alexander-Arnold makes the 26 of every other country competing in this World Cup. And I think he's got a point. Do you agree with that?
I don't think you could probably argue against that. It's something that the manager's been to see him, and we've all done it as managers. You end up turning up and seeing there's something that certain players do that draw you to them or put you off them. And I think maybe his defensive work's put him off them a little bit. And I'm just going back to Thomas Tuchel's interview just then that we saw, and he said the love of the manager. There's certain players that turn up and walk through the door here and they'll say, you know, thanks to the manager, Harry Kane, you know, and a lot of players on here that are naturals, they've earned their place and they're here. There's one or two people here that have turned up and talk about the love of the manager. I think the likes of John Stones, maybe Quansah, maybe a couple of others as well should really shake the manager's hand because there's a real buy-in because they were judgment calls, I think, close calls
Whenever
they made the squad.
When I watched Stones this season, he's not been at the level he has in his Manchester City career. Injury problems, like you said as well. Do you want to go to the knockout games and you've got Reece James Glees to be injured, Livramento Glees to be injured, Stones Glees to be injured, and then you're saying, what if Gahey or Quansah get injured? Dan Burn, Quansah or Stones against a France, a Brazil. I'm not sure.
And we've been burnt before, haven't we, by taking players who are not fully fit.
Exactly.
As recently as the last European Championships, we took Luke Shaw as a passenger for most of the tournament.
In 2010, I was part of the coaching set up there, and we took, I think Jamie Carragher wasn't fully fit. We took Ledley King, who'd not featured in the campaign. Rio, we lost in the warm-up or in training. So, yeah, difficult.
Okay, balance, evidence and trust. Those were the words used by Thomas Tuchel. He's going to do a full press conference at 11 o'clock. We'll bring that to you here on the naming of the 26-man squad to go to the World Cup. I mean, look, listen, we've got to be excited about going to a World Cup. There's a lot of players that are going to be excited too. So give us your views. You can text us 81089. You can get in touch 03717223344. Who are you excited to see? Who are you wanting to get behind? Who are you surprised to see left out? Let me know. 03717223344. You can WhatsApp us on that number. You can call us on that number as well. John Stones made just 8 appearances for City this season through injury, but he has still made the cut. We'll get into why in the next section of the programme. And who's missed out that's raised an eyebrow? Well, for me, Morgan Gibbs-White couldn't have done any more, could he? This is Sam Matterface, Alex Crook, Gabby Agbonlahor and Stuart Pearce. We're all here for the next little while with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
I met Arteta for the first time in October in a restaurant randomly. And I said to him, we're going to win the league because you've got the squad now that you've wanted. It's your vision. These are your guys. They play with your values. And I am certain we're going to win the league. And, you know, this is all on Mikel Arteta. I absolutely take my hat off to this guy. He has worked his process, worked his project to now the ultimate fruition. And I think he's been absolutely brilliant. And I was one of the doubters early on first 2 seasons, we lost 13 league games each season. I was one of those thinking he's too young, it's too early for him, it's too big a job. And then I remember like early 2023 doing a whole apology in the Sun to Mikel. And from that moment on, for the next 3.5 years, I've absolutely bought in to what he's doing because I could see what he was doing. And I just think, Mikel Arteta, I want a statue, at least one statue of you, and I want a second statue of that idiotic Manchester City fan who did the bottle stunt because he must be feeling like the biggest mug in Britain right now.
Piers, I've got a question for you, mate. Fantastic Arsenal winning the...
Gabby, what about a public apology? What about just apologising to me?
Well,
and
before we get, I want to come in here.
What for?
I want to come in here as referee, if I may. As referee, Piers, I think it's only fair. I mean, 2 words I never thought I'd associate with Piers Morgan are humble and pie, right? But we've got that from you this morning with Mikel Arteta. So I think it's only fair. I give the floor to my man on my left-hand side, Gabby.
Arsenal fans, everyone out there who supports Arsenal, I apologise for mocking the season. Calling you bottlers. Great team, great fans, great football club. I apologise.
Brilliant. Well done. Piers, I want to ask you,
where's that utterly useless half-wit Ahara who must be, I mean, how much is he feeling? Because I kept saying to you guys, I kept saying we were going to win the quadruple, and you didn't really understand what I meant. Arsenal to win the Premier League and Champions League, right? Cristiano Ronaldo to win the Saudi League, which he's about to do, and Tottenham get relegated. It is my dream quadruple.
It's official, the World Cup squad is out. A few names we all recognise in there, of course, but a few surprises, perhaps none more surprising than Ivan Toney. But talkSPORT's Dean Saunders says he doesn't know why we're all so shocked.
He's not become a bad player just because he's playing in Saudi. He's got 32 goals this season.
In 32 appearances in the league.
32 games. When you lose in a game, you've got to have players on the bench who've got an instinct to get you an equaliser or get you a winner.
Meanwhile, Jed Spence has made it. Despite his broken jaw and form for Spurs, he does raise a concern from Stuart Pearce.
It sounds brilliant. He can play left back, he can play right back. But time and time again, we've tried that. And once they get in advanced areas... Trippier played it, didn't he, for us left back? I think it runs aground and it's checking back all the time and slows play down.
So Jed Spence in, Trent Alexander-Arnold out. Trent's one of a number of surprise omissions and Henry Winter isn't impressed.
England don't really have too many truly world-class talents. Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane, absolutely up the top of it. But Trent Alexander, on his game, you can bring him off the bench and he can do a little bit of magic.
Also left out, Maguire, Colwill, Palmer, Foden, Bowen, Welbeck, Calvert-Lewin. I mean, you could build a competitive side out of those who've been left out. Among those in, Jordan Henderson, Dan Burn, Kobbie Mainoo. See the full squad at talksport.com.
This is Sam Matterface, Alex Crook, Gabby Agbonlahor and Stuart Pearce, and we're reacting to the England squad this morning live on talkSPORT. Thank you very much for joining us. It's a busy old morning. Harry Maguire's statement raw yesterday, shocked and gutted. He was genuinely let down, Gabby Agbonlahor. Was he right to be?
100%. When I saw that, I was actually on the flight back from Istanbul, and I saw it, and I thought, that must be a mistake. Surely Harry Maguire's in. Didn't play much under Amorim, but under Michael Carrick, he's been the main defender. Experience. He's a threat in both boxes as well. Baffling decision for me.
Jarell Kwanzaa's Germany gamble has paid off. Are you surprised that he's had such a successful time out there that he's ended up getting himself into this squad?
Well, I always like when English players go abroad and play on the continent. I think it gives them a more rounded education about international football. So I'm pleased for him. I'm a little bit surprised he's made the cut, but to be fair, I've not seen a lot of his games. So Crookie tells me that he's done pretty well this year, so credit to him.
Thomas Tuchel valuing versatility over names. For a long time we've been saying everybody's already sorted on the plane. This is England. We just pick the names. This time he's gone with what he believes is the squad that might cause a few headlines and controversy, but he believes will get the job done. Dan Burn and Jed Spence in, Luke Shaw and Lewis Hall out in that sort of left fullback area. There isn't an out-and-out left back in the team.
No, and that would be a little bit of a concern for me. And I think Lewis Hall will be waking up this morning feeling very disappointed. He's had a good season at Newcastle. I think if you're looking for an out-and-out left back, he would be top of your list. Obviously, Nico O'Reilly is a terrific player wherever he plays, but he's featured more in midfield for Manchester City than he has a left back. Thomas Tuchel, when it comes to naming these squads, he always gives us a headline, doesn't he? Do you remember when we were broadcasting from Ascot and he left out Jude Bellingham? Obviously, Trent Alexander-Arnold has been omitted, so there is always a talking point. But I think if we'd sat down yesterday, before obviously we started getting all the news yesterday afternoon, and put our 26-man squad down, there's probably, 4 names in there that maybe we wouldn't have expected?
3 or 4, maybe, yeah.
None of us would have had Ivan Toney. I mean, not Ivan Toney wouldn't have had himself by the sound of things.
The fact he's at the embassy this morning tells you everything.
Yeah. As far as the back four is concerned, I think it will be James, Konsa, Gay and O'Reilly to start the first game of the tournament. I think we're pretty solid on that. So therefore, you can afford to take a couple of wild cards, a couple of slightly different players that fill gaps later on in the tournament. John Stones, we mentioned the lack of minutes. You know, we can't expect him to play 10 games or 8 games in 4.5 weeks. It's not viable bearing the amount of minutes that he's got under his belt. But class is permanent, and Thomas Tuchel likes to have him around. If you remember last year when we were in Girona, he wasn't fit, but he brought him into the camp even though he wasn't part of the squad because he wants him around. Why is that? Just explain to us what it is about him that he really likes.
Well, these boys have got to spend 7 weeks together, you know, so you've got to have the chemistry right within the group. If you've got some great influencers within that group, it's brilliant. You know, just to facilitate everyone. More importantly, I as a manager never had to worry about number 1 to 11. They looked after themselves. You take them to a major tournament, they're picked, they're happy. It's the ones from 12 to 26. I always used to make sure, as a manager, whenever we went to a major tournament, the day after we played, I would be one of the coaches on the training pitch taking the coaching to show to those numbers 12 to 26, I'm here and I care about you. You have to do that. You have to do your work with those players. If you've got a few role models in there on the playing staff that can do that for you, double whammy, really.
Interesting, because when I spoke to Thomas Tuchel a year ago, he said to me, 16, I'm probably okay. He said, the problem is once you get to 16, you start thinking about tourists. You start thinking about people that fit into the camp. You start thinking about people that are going to grab attention. And that is one of the reasons why Trent and Maguire are not in. Is that right?
Well, we're hearing whispers, aren't we, that one of the reasons that they were left out is because Thomas Tuchel felt like it would create a bit of a circus, a bit of a media storm if he took them to the US and didn't put them in the 11. I think certainly in the case of Maguire, that's a little bit unfair. You know, this is someone who isn't always a starter at Manchester United. Obviously, he's had issues in with his own fan base there and has always come out the other side. So I don't really get that. The Trent situation, I think, is as much about his relationship with Jude Bellingham, and maybe that could be a distraction for Jude if Trent is in the camp. So I understand that one a little bit more. But you're talking about good tourists, and I guess we need to talk about your pal Jordan Henderson again, because what was it, 4 years ago when Roy Keane came out on television and said, what's Jordan Henderson there for the card tricks?
to the quizzes, actually.
Well, you can make the same case again, can't you? Because this is someone who can't get in the Brentford team at the end of the season.
Well, he actually wanted more minutes against Crystal Palace and against Manchester City because he was coming back from injury. But obviously, clearly, I think from the minute that he took the job, Thomas Tuchel's decided that he wants him around. He wants him there to police the dressing room. As I think Stuart's already said, he's played 11 minutes against City, 27 minutes against Crystal Palace. But he has played a lot of the season for Brentford, and he's been a relative success there.
But he's not been a better player than Adam Wharton.
No, but it's not sometimes about a better player. When you talk about the last 4 or 5 players that are going to be in the squad, Jordan Henderson is a player that last 10, 15 minutes of a game, if England are winning, okay, Henderson, you're on. Maybe take a number 10 off, and you play your 3 centre midfielders in there. Different sort of players. Adam Wharton probably wouldn't do that job defensively as well as a defensive midfielder. We know Jordan Henderson can do. And he's great with all the players, so experienced. So I get that one as an experienced player being there.
Yeah. What do you make of Jordan Henderson's reintroduction into the squad after being away for so long and then being called up under Thomas Tuchel? Was it clear for you that as soon as... I think they had a phone call in January of last year, and Thomas Tuchel was like, once I spoke to him, I knew this was a guy I wanted on my side. Was it clear from that moment he was always going to go?
Listen, I'm very, very biased towards Jordan. He was my under-21s captain, a fantastic role model to the rest of the players. He drove that team on, even at a time where things weren't great at his club. He went to Liverpool. The fan base at Liverpool were a little bit, is he worth the money, that type of thing. And his salvation was coming to England and the pride he had with England, albeit the 21s then. And it's been brilliant what he's gone on to. And the worth of Jordan Henderson, I'll tell you when it was really, really evident to all, during COVID. I, as a coach, was at West Ham. We played West Ham, we were at home. I knew this about Jordan anyway. I sat in the stand and there was one voice I heard barking orders out to everyone on the football pitch, both West Ham and Liverpool. It was Jordan Henderson, telling players where to go. And it was a brilliant education. It's a shame that fans can't hear that. It was an empty stadium. So every word that he said, you heard. Every piece of information he gave to his fellow teammates in a Liverpool shirt was absolutely magnificent. And that's why he's in the squad now.
What will Adam Wharton be thinking this morning? He got his first goal for Palace against Brentford last weekend. He's had to have his minutes managed a little bit towards the end of the season, but he has played 51 games, 7 Premier League assists. He puts the ball at risk, doesn't he? He's a forward-thinking passer. Is he a little bit unlucky? Is there just not enough shirts for him? Is that why he's not in?
Well, Stuart's just made a good case there for taking Jordan Henderson, and I understand all of that. But if you're judging it on pure football ability at this stage of their respective careers, I think you have to say that Wharton's been really unlucky, and that Henderson has effectively taken his place in the squad. He's going to be playing in a major European final for Crystal Palace. As you say, finally has scored his first goal. I think his range of passing could really help against those teams that England are going to face, particularly in the group stage, actually.
Do you need Mainoo and Wharton, though? Is it one of them?
Listen, I love Gabby Mainoo. He'll tell you that, so I'm not even going to go down that road. I think his selection just proves what a fraud the previous Manchester United manager was, that he couldn't find a place for him in the team. And he's someone who's been there in a major tournament. We remember in Germany, it was a problem, wasn't it, for England? Who was going to play in that midfield role? We started with Trent Alexander-Arnold, didn't work. Conor Gallagher did it for a half. And it was only when Gabby Mainoo came into the team that he got some balance in the side.
What was the name of the previous Manchester United manager?
We don't talk about him.
03717 2233.
Alex something or other is he talking about? Fraud, Alex? Surely not.
03717 2233 is the number to call. With respect, Morgan Gibbs-White should be in the squad ahead of Jordan Henderson. Henderson doesn't even start every game for Brentford. Gibbs-White, first or second name on our team sheet. He's single-handedly dragged Forest out of the relegation zone on 4 or 5 occasions. I think he's probably, in terms of statistics, the one who is the unluckiest and couldn't have done any more. And he's come up with big moments in big games. That's Stu in St Albans. The lack of a left-footed centre-back shows Tuchel's mindset of picking players that are the master of none and the jack of all trades. Tyreek Mitchell has been a top left-back this season. That's Stephen Surrey Hills. Tony can only be there to take penalties. Surely that's a very bizarre choice, says Pete Sansom. No, Morgan Gibbs-White's a joke. No English player has scored more than him in the Premier League this season. I'm so deflated, says Matt in Nottingham. 03717 223344. Your reaction, quick and sharp, on the phones, coming next.
thought it was great at the end of the game, the way the players were with him.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
Emi Martinez picked him up.
Because we saw a wee side to him that you don't see.
Yes.
We saw a different side to him.
What was funny, though, when Emi Martinez picks him up, on the clip behind, you can see the players are a bit like Tyrone Mings. They're laughing like, "Oh my God, how has he done that?"
Yeah.
Because then they know that like the manager's not really like that. He doesn't like to be the centre of attention.
Yeah.
But it was incredible scenes, Ali, afterwards. So emotional for so many Villa fans, and we were lucky to be in the stadium.
Brilliant.
All the clips back home, Ali, like so many places showed the game. Thousands of fans on the streets still now celebrating across the world. How many fans I spoke to last night that have come from Australia?
See,
They've got 4 flights to get here.
Same.
Some fans have not had a hotel room overnight. They've got the early flight this morning, so they just stayed up. Some fans have got to get back through Germany, through different parts of Europe to get home. But what that win means for every Aston Villa fan in the world, Ali, it's just unbelievable. I can't describe in words, and I hope we get some good callers on today. And they'll have their stories of what this means.
I'm
to
sure
them.
we will, mate.
Yeah.
Okay, 6:20. We're the champions, of course, rang out at Besiktas Park as Aston Villa get their hands on that Europa League trophy. I wonder if you've learnt the words by now, Gab. Here's your...
I know, mate, I know.
Well, listen, we're going to bring you back down here for a crashing bang, my friend. Here's your rendition of that classic last night in the stadium. Fantastic. Good on you. I was just...
Hilarious, mate.
I met all the Villa fans before the game, man, and they were brilliant, Gabby. Brilliant. Older gentlemen, young boys.
Ali, there's been no incidents.
Not wig. It's a nutty canister, either way. I mean, look at the nut on it.
Bob Odenkirk! Saul was great. He was just a breath of fresh air. Amelia Clark!
Star Wars versus Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, definitely.
I'm
loyal.
Don't tell Alex Hassel!
In season 2, a lot of us get our clothes off.
You do know you did that in season 1.
Exactly, that's true, yeah. Sorry.
Well, the good news is that it's not just Jarell Quansah, Jordan Henderson, John Stones that have got a surprise trip to the World Cup. You could get one too. You can go to the 2026 FIFA World Cup courtesy of Adidas. You and a mate could be in Dallas on June the 17th, seeing England versus Croatia. We're talking flights, hotel, spending money, tickets, the official Try-Onda match ball all included. All you need to do is head to talksportwin.com to enter for full T's and C's. It's a busy day. We're going to hear from Thomas Tuchel in around about 6 minutes. But I've got some breaking news for you that's reached us in the last few minutes, and that is that Michael Carrick has been confirmed as the new England manager.
England
manager. Michael Carrick has been confirmed as a new Manchester United manager. He's agreed a 2-year deal. That would have been an absolute disaster, wouldn't it? Good job you're here. What else do we know?
Yeah, 2-year contract, as you say, with the option of a third at the end of it. Obviously, there were a lot of stories doing the rounds last week that this was a done deal. I think negotiations have been continuing. I think negotiations were ongoing during Manchester United's win against Forest last week, but it is now done. Not just Michael Carrick, his coaching staff as well. The likes of Jonathan Woodgate are going to stay on. Steve Holland, who's made such a massive impact, I think, on Manchester United. I think most United fans will see this as good news. You look at the job that Michael Carrick did since taking over. They're going to finish third in the Premier League. They're back in the Champions League. They've hardly lost. They've beaten all the teams around them. You talk about Morgan Gibbs-White couldn't have done any more to get in the England squad. I'm not sure what else Michael Carrick could have done to get his hands on this job.
So breaking news in the last few minutes that Michael Carrick has agreed to a 2-year deal to become the manager on a permanent basis for Manchester United. We'll take your reaction to that as well. 0371722 3344. Morning, gents. 3 or 4 strange decisions, says one texter. But the biggest shock is Maguire. I would go as far as saying this. If we needed a goal in the last 10-15 minutes, he would be high up on my list to bring it with his aerial prowess. Staggering decision, says Simon from Warrington. At the end of the last friendly, actually, towards the end of the match, they threw on Byrne and Maguire to try and cause disruption. But Byrne can do that job as well. Is that what Thomas Tuchel's thinking?
I think so, yeah. As I say, Dan Byrne can cause havoc in both boxes, no doubt about that. It's one of his fortes, obviously, his size and whatever. But certainly, historically, Harry Maguire has been that presence in both boxes, and he's been vital for England.
Keep them coming, 0371722 3344. If you want to get in touch, we'd love to hear from you. But we're going to hear from the manager himself at the top of the hour. Let's look at some of the attackers. Palmer and Foden left at home. The 2 omissions probably that define the talking points of the squad.
But we all expected it. I've been saying it for the last 2 months, and Manchester City fans and Chelsea fans are like, no, you can't leave them out. It's Cole Palmer, it's Foden. We know what Palmer can do in big games, but when you're not performing in that position where we got so much talent, the likes of Rodgers, Eze, look at Bowen, unfortunate not to be in the squad. Gibbs-White can't get in the squad, so I don't think it's a shock that Foden and Palmer don't make it.
One of the things that he has said, Thomas Tuchel, is that he wasn't going to take a batch of number 10s. He was going to take players that played in specific positions in that front line. He has only taken 3 of them. He couldn't take 5. He didn't want to take Foden and Palmer and then crowbar them into the team out of position. Is that the right call?
I think so, because we saw, going back to the last European Championships, Gareth Southgate tried to do that with Foden in particular, and he ended up having a nightmare of a tournament. Palmer was used only sparingly. So, yeah, I understand the argument. I would have taken one more in that number 10 position, because obviously you can play Bellingham deeper if needed as well. And I think if you're talking about taking one more, Gabby's dead right on form. Foden has been off it for a long time. Palmer has had an injury-afflicted season and hasn't really been the Cole Palmer of old. Morgan Gibbs-White would have been the one for me. You look at his numbers, his best ever goal-scoring season. He's carried Forest away from relegation danger into a major European semi-final. So I think of all the players that have been left out, he'll be concerned this morning. I was just thinking there, actually, can we lend a few of these to Scotland? They'd appreciate it.
Unnecessary? Would you say unnecessary stoking the fires with?
He is. I don't know whether that's an insult to England or Scotland at this moment in time. We'll dig deeper later.
Morgan Gibbs-White, the joint most goal contributions of any English player in the Premier League this season, didn't make the squad. 17 goals, Europa League semi-finalists. Come up with some big moments as well when Forest have needed it most. As a Forest man yourself, does that irk you a little bit?
I've looked at Gibbs-White's performances over the last 2 or 3 years. When he plays well, Forest play well. He does have dips in form, to be fair, and it's probably cost managers their job on occasion, to be quite honest with you. But the bottom line is, at this moment in time, if you turn around and said who is really bang on form, Gibbs-White is one of those people.
Sam Matterface, Alex Crook, Gabby Agbonlahor, Stuart Pearce, Thomas Tuchel coming very, very shortly. Ollie Watkins, redemption arc, left out in March, not enough goals. He's gone and banged them in ever since. He's been on a terrific run, 11 goals in 15 since he was left out. He deserves to be in, doesn't he?
100%, and some players need that kick up the backside sometimes. He wasn't at his best. He got left out, and maybe his ego was hurt a little bit with Calvert-Lewin and Solanke getting into the last squad. But ever since then, he has been in some of the form of his life. Goal scoring, running the defenders ragged, and that's what you do, isn't it, Piercy? When you've been let down maybe by a manager, you're not in a squad. going proving wrong.
You just mention very quickly before you carry on that conversation. Alex Scott, obviously, another one who would count himself unlucky not to be in the 26. It's our understanding at talkSPORT he is going to go in to America for the pre-tournament training camp, presumably to cover for some of those Arsenal players who we don't expect to feature.
Well, he might not be the only one.
Yeah, we're trying to dig if there are any more bodies.
I wonder, with Dean Henderson not being available for the first week or so, they might end up having to take a backup goalkeeper.
Do you think Watkins is the right...
Interesting to hear about Jason Steele as well, whether or not he goes as one of the extra men like they did with Tom Heaton at the previous World Cup.
Do you guys think Watkins is the right decision before Calvert-Lewin?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
he scored in big games, hasn't he?
Yes.
3 goals across the quarterfinals of the Europa League. He turned up in that game against Liverpool on Friday night. I thought it was terrific.
Yeah, he's just hit form at the right time, I think, and got that, self-confidence back, I'd say.
Does he like that little bit of pressure? Does he actually like to be told, you didn't get enough goals?
100%.
Because bearing in mind the evidence, he was left out because he wasn't scoring enough goals. That's what Thomas Tuchel said. He scored 11 and 15 since. That's some response.
And that's what the manager wants to see. Go back to your team, show us why you should be in the England squad. And he's earned it. And even in the final, a couple of days ago, I thought he was fantastic, running the channels, being aggressive, and his finishing's definitely come on in the last 10 games.
Marcus Rashford, 43 matches at Barcelona this season. Don't know whether or not that's going to continue into next season, although I know he wants it to. The free kick again in the Clasico was absolutely superb. He's got 13 goals and 10 assists. He likes him, doesn't he? What does he bring? What was it that Thomas Tuchel really loves about Marcus Rashford?
Can play in 2 positions. Can play on the left-hand side or run the line if he needs to, centre forward. He's got pace. He's got a goal-scoring ability. And out of all of those, if he comes on as an impact sub, you fancy him to score. He's got the ability to go past people, turn a pace. He's got so much. It's a damning indictment that he'd gone away from the international scene. He lost the fire in his belly, and I hope he's got it back now.
Anthony Gordon, also part of the squad. Those two probably vying for that position on the left-hand side. Crook's not 100% sold on Anthony Gordon, his performances this year. 16 goals, 10 in the Champions League, a lot of penalties, only 3 Premier League assists.
Yeah, listen, I don't watch Anthony Gordon week in, week out. There's obviously talent there, but if you speak to Newcastle fans who do, they've been pretty underwhelmed, and there's obviously a lot of talk about him leaving this summer. I think he wants to leave, and a lot of Newcastle fans don't seem to upset about that.
OK, let's find out what the thoughts are of the England manager. He's sitting down at Wembley to explain his 26-man squad for the World Cup. Here he is.
Thanks for coming. And of course, you saw our squad selection for the World Cup, which is an exciting day for me and I think for everyone selected. I think from day one, we were very clear that we are trying to select and build the best possible team, which is not necessarily to select and collect the 26 most talented players. Teams win championships. It's as simple as that. And what we are trying to achieve in summer can only be achieved as a team. That in mind, we chose a very balanced squad. We chose 3 goalkeepers plus Jason Steele. I want to take the opportunity and thank Jason for being brilliant and thank Brighton for being so cooperative and supportive. We choose 9 defenders for 4 positions. We chose 7 midfielders for 3 positions, and we chose 7 strikers for 3 positions. I can assure every fan in the country that we have 26 100% committed players in camp with us who know their role, who are ready to buy into their role on and off the pitch, and who are ready and committed to the idea of team spirit and being unselfish. The squad, I think, has a significant number of players that will compete for starting minutes and starting places. That gives us also the chance to rotate on a very high level. And a significant number of players who carry the sportive responsibility on highest level. We have a huge chunk of youthfulness in the squad. We have 6 players who won titles with the under-21s. We have Kobe, who is still young and has already won his titles. We have Nico O'Reilly on top, who is very young and has already won his medals. We have specialists with us, specialists for all kinds of different scenarios. When we're leading, when we're chasing a game, when we're chasing a result. We always said we want to be a strong set-piece team, so we have specialists for that, and we want to be a strong penalty team. We have specialists for that. And last, and for sure not least, we have a decent leadership group in camp. We have a decent leadership group with us in the World Cup. The leadership group took care and ownership in a very special way from September onwards. They created a culture, they set the tone, they set the standards, created and took care of the standards, and we were very happy with that. And that is why the majority of this team and that this majority of the selection is from the players who were with us in September, October and November. It's important for me to say that I am very grateful to all players who helped us qualify, to all players who had sometimes only one of 6 camps with us. Very grateful, and I tried to show my respect and my appreciation for what they have done in telling them in personal phone calls in the last 3 days about my decision. So I called every player that was at least once with us personally to tell them my decision, even if it was a painful decision or it was a disappointing message. We believe that it has to be delivered from me. I will not go into details, of course, but I tried to explain and explain my decision and try to express my appreciation and respect for the player.
Okay.
No more questions? Good.
Hundreds, I'm afraid.
Hundreds.
Yeah. Thomas, nice to see you, and thanks for explaining that. That's very helpful. You've surprised us again. I want to start with perhaps what we thought was the biggest surprise, and that's Ivan Toney's inclusion. He's played a total of 7 minutes of international football in your 16 months in charge. He wasn't on a lot of people's radar, and yet here he is in your World Cup squad.
Yeah.
Can you explain that to us?
Also a bit of a surprise to us. But like I said, when it came down to all different kinds of scenarios, he was back in the picture. I had fantastic feedback from his coach, from his club coach, who was my player, and I have a close connection with him. I had always fantastic feedback about his role there, about his ability, about his fitness. We could see that he still collects the numbers. I think he has very special skills that could help us, meaning the situation, the scenario when we are chasing a result, when we're chasing a goal. I think he can be a very valuable addition to Harry Kane. He can be a presence in the box when we're pushing for a goal. He can take attention of other strikers. He has a natural presence within the box. He's a natural finisher. He can help us with set pieces because he's very strong in the air, very good in using his body, and not to forget, he's a world-class penalty taker. So he ticks some boxes that we wanted to be ticked.
You've made it clear again in your opening statement that reputation, big names are not necessarily what matters to you. It's how they fit in the collective. And you've said that consistently, I think, in all your time in charge, to be fair. But there are some world-class talents that are not in this squad that other nations will look at and say, how are Phil Foden, Cole Palmer, Harry Maguire, Trent Alexander-Arnold, etc., Morgan Gibbs-White, how are they not in this squad? How have you left them out? Do you fear leaving their talents out?
Say again the
question. Do you fear leaving those talents at home at all?
How I felt or how I feel?
Fear?
A fear?
Yeah, do you fear leaving those talents at home?
No, I don't fear because I'm very confident in the group that we chose and with whom we arrived, with which we arrive. Very difficult decisions, painful conversations, difficult for the players, difficult to explain to the players. But as I said, what we're trying to achieve, we try to achieve as a team, and we try to nominate a balanced squad. If everyone is selected, it was a given that from these 55 players, we have to leave some extraordinary talents, some extraordinary personalities at home. Either way, if we would have picked all these names, some other big 5 names would have been out, and we would talk about these names. So that comes with a job. I like these kind of decisions, even if they took us weeks and sometimes months to clarify the decisions. I think they bring clarity. I think they bring, in the end, a certain edge that is necessary. I tried to explain the reasons for the players. Could they be in camp? Did they do anything wrong? No. Could they be in camp? Yes, 100% sure. But for some of them, it's just the amount of players on a certain position. We didn't want to play the players out of position so much, and we don't want to give them a clear role. And it comes with difficult and maybe hard choices in the build up to the tournament.
Hi, Thomas. You said a lot of painful decisions to make for players and difficult phone calls.
Yeah.
One player who's released a statement saying he was disappointed was Harry Maguire. Do you understand him releasing a statement, or were you a bit surprised to see that after you spoke to him?
I was a bit surprised, but I respect his personality a lot. I respect his quality a lot. He had an outstanding season. I can see the disappointment. I can see the reason behind the disappointment. Still, I was a bit surprised because we had a private conversation, and he had the chance to express his feelings, which he did, and this is fair enough because I can see all the reasons why he could be in the squad. But the decision is that we stood firmly with our central defenders that carried us through September, October, November. Some of them are part of a leadership group that took ownership and set the standards high. And we just, it was a decision for these 23, for these 26 players, even if it feels that it's against individuals.
Hi, Thomas. Can you confirm, please, the makeup of the leadership group and how you came to make those decisions with regard to the identity of those players? And just a quick.
How I decided who's in the leadership group.
Yeah. Or why you decided those.
Well, we had a
players were in.
March camp and we had a June camp, and that it was pretty clear for us who should be in there. I see no value in sharing it with you, to be honest. So I will keep it to myself. It's a group of 5-6 players, and this is always it's always a fluidity possible in the group. But they took ownership, they took care, and they were massively influential. And I was very, very happy with the way they acted and interacted and how they stepped up. So there is no need to change that.
And just a quick one. Will you be inviting any extra players for the Florida camp to make up for the Arsenal players and Dean Henderson missing out because of their commitments at club level?
Yeah, I think Dino is not an issue because we have Jason Steele in camp, so we can start with 3 goalkeepers and later we have 4. But we will take some young players out who will train with us and keep the squad in the size that we need. That we have all the possibilities also for the 2 friendly matches to take care about the minutes and the load of the players. So this will be Alex Scott is confirmed, Rio Ngumoa is confirmed, and Josh King, and there will be 1 more player which we cannot name because it's not confirmed yet. But I'm happy that these guys are with us, especially Alex, who was even on the list of 55 and had a kind of a disappointing phone call as well that he didn't make the first cut. But the reaction of him was outstanding, the commitment, the wish to be in pre-camp and to just be a step closer to the team was not even a question for him, and this showed me his character and his spirit. So I'm delighted that he's with us because it was a close call and gets a chance to take a step closer and to get a cap.
Kerry.
Thomas, a big day for you. I know how much you love your players, so I know it's been a really tough 48 hours, but you were brought in here to make tough decisions. You're a winner. 60 years of hurt now. What makes you believe you can win this World Cup?
I heard recently a quote from Rafa Nadal, who said, "I'm not a winner. I'm a competitor. I'm a challenger," and that is basically how I arrive in the US for this tournament. I'm hungry. I arrive with hunger. I arrive with excitement, and I arrive as a competitor and as a challenger. And I think that is the role for us as a team. That is how I want the team to play. This is how I want the team to develop, and this is why we picked that squad, and that's why I'm so sure that we picked the right squad. It is about building a brotherhood. It is about building excitement and a certain energy, and then I feel that we can transmit this to our fans who are either in the stadium or back here in England pushing, and once we get this energy right, everything is possible. So we said it very early. We will try to go all the way. We will try to win this tournament, but it's very, very quickly. It just makes no sense to try and digest the whole cake at once. We will chunk it up. We will try to have the best possible pre-camp, have a little break in between, and then go to Kansas, switch locations, and go into the tunnel to start the group phase.
This is talkSPORT, and that was Thomas Tuchel, the England manager, talking about his 26-man squad for the World Cup. So much to unpick with Gabby Agbonlahor and Alex Crook in the next few minutes. Some more breaking news. Already today, we've told you that Michael Carrick is going to be the new manager of Manchester United on a permanent basis. He signed a 2-year contract today. And in the last few minutes, Manchester City have confirmed the story that we brought you on Monday night, that Pep Guardiola will step down as the manager of Manchester City this summer. The Catalan, who joined Manchester City in July 2016, has had a transformative effect, they say, during his 10 years in charge. He will leave having won 20 major trophies, making him the most successful manager in Manchester City's history. He said, "When I arrived, my first interview was with Noel Gallagher. I walked out thinking, OK, Noel is here. This will be fun. And what a time we have had together. Don't ask me the reasons I'm leaving. There is no reason. But deep inside, I know it's my time. Nothing is eternal. If it was, I would be here. Eternal will be the feeling, the people, the memories that I have for Manchester City." Pep Guardiola to leave Manchester City this summer. This is talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface with Alex Crook and Gabby Agbonlahor on a day of breaking news. Michael Carrick puts pen to paper on a deal to be the Manchester United manager. Pep Guardiola leaves Manchester City, and the 26-man squad for the England World Cup team has been announced. This is talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go.
What was your overriding emotion last night, watching it all unfold and feeling as you do for this great club?
I think for me, it's Aston Villa, a sleeping giant. You know, European Cup winners in 1982. All you ever heard was, "Oh, you wasn't born. You wasn't born when Villa won that. They've only won last trophy was 30 years ago." So it was that pressure, sort of that monkey off the back for Aston Villa fans and the players and the football club. But emotion as well, Jim, because I spoke to so many Villa fans, parents that have passed away, you know, family members that have passed away, and what this would have meant to those people that aren't here today. And people are going through a lot. You know, everyone's going through a lot, football fans. What last night can do to give people a boost, what they're going through in their life. It was amazing to see my people, my fellow Brummies, so happy.
Brilliant. Your people. You're right, your people. In terms of legendary status, Gabby, where is this group now?
Oh, they're legends. And I say this all the time, Jim, I don't like to be called a legend. I feel legends of a football club need to win something. I really do. The 1982 players, they're legends of the football club. Now, these group of players are, and the one player, I don't like to pick one, but the one player that stands out for me is our captain. Scotland are lucky to have him, John McGinn. Immense, and I was so happy for him, what he's been through for this football club. The small price that Aston Villa paid for him, was it 2.5 million? What a player, what a nice guy, and what a captain.
Gabby, can I ask you personally, did you watch with regret last night that you never quite experienced a night like that?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, we got to the Carabao Cup final, we got to the FA Cup final and lost, but to get to a European final and get it over the line, the pressure that was on the players because they were highly favourites in the game as well to win against Freiburg. It wasn't like a jealous feeling. It was like, wow, I missed out. Wow, what I'll do to be on that pitch to share that, because the players know, Jim. The players get it.
It's Danny Dyer! Wig, not wig.
It's a nutty canister, either way. I mean, look at the nut.
Bob Odenkirk!
Saul was great. He was just a breath of fresh air.
Amelia Clark! Star Wars versus Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, definitely.
I'm
loyal.
Don't tell Alex Hassel!
In season 2, a lot of us get our clothes off.
You do know you did that in season 1?
Exactly, that's true, yes.
It's talkSPORT, Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Gabby Agbonlahor. The last few minutes have been pretty whirlwind, to be honest with you, with the World Cup squad being announced. Michael Carrick has confirmed that he's going to stay as the Manchester United manager for the next 2 years. And Pep Guardiola has been confirmed as stepping down at the end of the season. 03717 22 3344 if you want to react to any of those stories this morning. Lots to talk about from the Thomas Tuchel press conference. 6 players who have won the under-21 squad. I thought was quite interesting. Specialists for different scenarios, he said. When we're leading, when we're trailing, for set pieces, for penalties. He said we got a decent leadership group, but he wouldn't elaborate as to who that was. Why?
Strange decision, because it's not really something that we can't guess, really. It's going to be the older players. It's going to be Harry Kane's, isn't it? I'm sure maybe even Bellingham will be in there. Rice will be in there. Henderson, Pickford.
Stones.
We had one at Aston Villa. Basically, what happens is the leadership group, they're anything that the players need to go towards to manager. The leadership group are there to discuss it. Any problems, any pre-meetings as well. The leadership squad they'll run that squad of players, and you need it, the experienced players, especially like Harry Kane and Declan Rice.
Just on the Harry Maguire situation, obviously he was asked to explain his picks for those centre-back roles in particular, and he said there during the press conference, Thomas Tuchel, we've gone with the players who effectively got us to the World Cup. They did so well in September, October, November. If I was Harry Maguire, and we know he feels very sore about it, he didn't hide that yesterday, certainly nor did his family with their posts on social media. I think what I would have asked Thomas Tuchel during what sounds like quite a difficult phone conversation is, if you've effectively already decided who's going to go to the World Cup in those centre-back areas, why did you bother to recall me for the March internationals? Why did you give me hope that I could be on the plane when clearly you had no intention of picking
injuries?
Me? One of the things that we talked about a lot during those March international breaks was the fact that he seemed to muddle up the squad completely, didn't he? And it was a lot to do with injuries. It was a lot to do with giving players a rest. If you remember, he left 11 players out of one international because he wanted to give them a rest. So there might have been a part of that
as
well.
This is a 33-year-old who's played at major tournaments. I think Harry Maguire deserved a bit more respect than that.
Well, maybe he wanted to make an impression. Maybe he wanted there was an opportunity maybe for someone to make an impression and work their way into the squad. And maybe they didn't quite do that. But maybe if there is an injury going forward, he might well...
That's what I think. I think maybe he put Harry Maguire in that squad in case the players that he's got his mind on he's going to pick, one gets injured, Harry Maguire would have been in. But I'm with you, Crookie. I am baffled because I look at the defensive cover, Gahey and Konsa. One of them gets injured. I'm not sure on Konsa. I'm not sure on Dan Burner, centre-half. And John Stones, I'm really not sure on his 8 Premier League games this season he's been involved in. not enough football, not the John Stones of previous years. That defence worries me when we play the big teams.
It's not the 8 games. It's the fact that since the 2nd of December, he's played 4 times, totaling just 253 minutes, which would worry me. But there's a reason he's taken him. There's got to be a reason he's taken him.
Maguire's done now, isn't he? His England career is over. So
After that statement,
all the time that Thomas Tuchel is in situ, you could see there that he was a bit rattled, I think, by the fact that Maguire went public yesterday afternoon via talkSPORT, of course, and we've seen the messages from his sister and his brother. 33, as I said, he's going to be 37 by the time the next World Cup comes around, 35 by the time the Euros do. So,
shame.
I think he's done.
Tony, a bit of a surprise, even to him, he said, which was quite interesting, which actually I thought revealed something to me, that actually he is going with a very evidence-based criteria. So he's looking at the numbers. He's definitely doing that. He said special skill set, chasing a goal, addition to Harry Kane, he became a presence in the box right at the end of matches. He confirmed he'd spoke to Matthias Yassel, who is the Al Ahly manager, and had a lot of discussions with him about Ivan Toney, and that's why he's brought him into the squad. He didn't say actually whether he'd been to Saudi Arabia to see him yet. No one asked him that question, but I don't think he has been,
Well, I think as well, you look at it, 42 goals he scored. Yes, everyone's going to say, shouldn't we picking someone from the Saudi League, but such a penalty specialist, and he's a good player still. He can score goals, he's good in the box, he can drop off and play as well. But look at some other players, Sam and Crookie, that have been picked from the Saudi Pro League. Portugal, Cancelo, who obviously went to Barcelona recently. Ruben Neves, João Felix, Cristiano. You've got France, you've got Theo Hernandez, Brazil, Ibanez, Fabinho's been picked. Koulibaly for Senegal, Sadio Mane, Edouard Mendy. So
it wasn't long ago that N'Golo Conte was playing.
Exactly. So we can't just look at he's playing in the lesser league. If he's good enough and the manager thinks he's good enough, then pick him. No problem with me.
03717223344. We promise you we will get to some calls, and we're going to hear from Thomas Tuchel again on this programme over and over again. He's still talking, and he has said in the last few minutes that Rodgers and Bellingham can play together. He said that the call to Jared Bowen was a difficult one, but says Noni Madueke's ability to impact games from the bench was absolutely key to his selection. He said that John Stones wouldn't have been picked if he couldn't play. He knows how to adapt to a winning culture. He is still at the highest level. We analysed a lot of his training data. We can take advantage of our late start to the tournament. England obviously play in the final round of the first round of group games. Why are you shaking your head?
Because we've done it before. I mentioned Luke Shaw there, and we had no balance down that left-hand side until he was able to play, one half in the semi-final and then started the final. I think we took David Beckham, didn't we, in the wake of his metatarsal injury. It was never really the same David Beckham. It just sounds to me they're playing for time there.
But you can take a risk if you've got 26 players.
Yeah, but he's taken 3 or 4 risks.
Part of the reason with me is Livramento's injury problems.
Reece James
injury
Well, this is the thing that we're worried about. I spent yesterday afternoon just adding up minutes of some of those players, and Livramento, James, Stones, even Spence, they haven't played enough minutes for me going into this tournament. And Stuart Pearce was discussing it. We asked him whether or not freshness would be a benefit, and he said, I don't think so. He's also said it makes sense to rotate at the tournament, which you're going to have to do in the conditions, but he doesn't want to lose that automatism and connections.
I get that as well.
Those movements that come naturally when you play together a lot.
Yes, and also there's going to be a lot of West Ham fans phoning in throughout the day. How can Bowen not be in it and Madueke be in it? The reason is they're both different players. Bowen didn't turn up against Newcastle as the captain leader of that football club. He didn't turn up on the big stage. Madueke, I get it. 25 Premier League games, 2 goals, 1 assist. We know what he can do. He can affect the game off the bench. He's the perfect replacement for Saka, who's got injury problems as well.
And he's played well when he's coming
exactly for England. He can get out of player, pace, power. Both wings, Gordon, Rashford, Saka, Madueke. I think we're
I'm not surprised by that front line at all. Apart from Tony, I think we called every single one of that when we were talking about it over the last couple of days, because we believed that was going to be the squad. I didn't believe Bowen would get in the squad with Madueke and Saka both available.
There were a few whispers from Danny Welbeck, weren't there? But obviously he's gone with Tony instead. I wonder how close Welbeck actually was to getting on the plane.
Probably was a data call. And I wonder whether or not what we said earlier on about the temperature of Saudi Arabia might have played a part in that as well, and the penalty situation.
Makes sense.
One of the other things that he's talked about is Jed Spence. He says one of the reasons that he's in the squad is that he is the fastest player in the squad. As someone who was incredibly fast, how much of a benefit is that?
That's for you, not me.
Well,
it definitely isn't for you.
Well, I always love my fullbacks to be quick, because when you are playing against the French team, for instance, and we did get to the final of Brazil, you're playing against maybe Vinny Jr., you're playing against Elise, Doué, Barcola, Dembele, Mbappe.
You need speed.
If you can have speed on that right-hand side with Jed Spence, it could be a call that he plays in before Reece James, even if Reece James is fit, playing against an Mbappe or one of them quick wingers. Pace kills. Good to have it across the pitch.
03717223344. What a morning it's been. Sorry, it's been such a helter-skelter. We've been on air for an hour and a half, and it feels like we've been on air for 5 minutes. So much has happened during that period. And we want your reaction. 81089 on the text is the way to get in touch with us. You can WhatsApp us 03717223344, or you can call us as well. It's 03717223344. You've been behaved for the last hour and a half. Is there any chance that you can continue to behave right now?
Alex, mate.
I'm trying to make an important phone call here, and he's trying to stop me leaving.
I thought he was going to get sweets.
Trying to make an important phone call. We're still on the radio.
I might have some information.
Well, go out then.
Go.
Off you go. 03717223344. And remember, the big breaking news this morning that Foden, Palmer, and Maguire have been left out of the England squad. Ivan Toney is in. And Pep Guardiola is going to leave Manchester City. They've confirmed it now at the end of the season. A story we brought to you earlier in the week. Kyle Walker, one of the legendary defenders of the Premier League era and certainly a massive part of the success at Manchester City, is on Drive this afternoon from 4 o'clock. So make sure you join the boys for that. Kyle Walker on air from 4 o'clock as he joins our World Cup team and is part of Drive this afternoon. And Michael Carrick is the Manchester United manager. He signed a contract for the next 2 years. This is Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Gabby Agbonlahor. We're live on talkSPORT right the way through till 1 o'clock this afternoon with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go.
It is a sensational story and so many strands to it. And I've seen a lot of Southampton fans who've come out in condemnation of the club. They say this is the darkest day in their long history. And I think a lot of Southampton fans are quite embarrassed at the way in which their name has been dragged through the mud. As you say, the punishment is immediate expulsion from that playoff final on Saturday, the £200 million game. So they have been stolen of the right to possibly get back into the Premier League the first time of asking, and a 4-point deduction for the start of next season. That's because, as I understand it, the EFL argued that the playoffs needed to be treated as a separate cup competition. Obviously, Southampton admitted spying on Middlesbrough, so that's where that punishment comes from. They also admitted over the course of this hearing with the Independent Commission spying on at least 2 other Championship teams, which is why there's also a points penalty for next season. Southampton appealed it immediately, not because they feel they're innocent, but because they feel the punishment doesn't really befit the crime. One of the things I was told coming out of St Mary's is they feel this is unprecedented. It is, because there isn't a precedent. I know that Marcelo Bielsa escaped with a fine, but it was only after that incident ahead of the Leeds final playoff with Derby that it was put in the rule book. So this is uncharted territory. Southampton have told staff in an email that I've seen from the Chief Executive, Phil Parsons, their legal team are confident they've got a strong case. They're going to keep preparing for this game on Saturday. I don't think it's going to be overturned in terms of Southampton being allowed to play this final. What could happen is a sort of halfway house where the points deduction gets rescinded. But I think there's enough evidence that Southampton will not take their place at Wembley. We're hearing stories of analysts dressing as staff wearing the kits of non-league Eastleigh when Ipswich were using their training ground in order to spy. So this is quite sinister in many ways. This is not just some bloke who's turned up at the Middlesbrough training ground and filmed a few minutes of training. So I think they're banged to rights. I think they've shown very little contrition. I think it's poor that we haven't had a statement from Southampton in the aftermath of this punishment. We still haven't heard officially from the club.
Yeah,
we're a long way down the line now. Surely they should have had something prepared.
It's official, the World Cup squad is out. A few names we all recognise in there, of course, but a few surprises, perhaps none more surprising than Ivan Toney. But talkSPORT's Dean Saunders says he doesn't know why we're all so shocked.
He's not become a bad player just because he's playing in Saudi. He's got 32 goals this season.
In 32 appearances in the league.
32 games. When you're losing a game, you've got to have players on the bench who've got an instinct to get you an equaliser or get you a winner.
Meanwhile, Jed Spence has made it. Despite his broken jaw and form for Spurs, he does raise a concern from Stuart Pearce.
It sounds brilliant. He can play left back, he can play right back. But time and time again, we've tried that. And once they get in advanced areas, Trippier played it, didn't he, for us left back? I think it runs aground and it's checking back all the time and slows play down.
So Jed Spence in, Trent Alexander-Arnold out. Trent's one of a number of surprise omissions and Henry Winter isn't impressed.
England don't really have too many truly world-class talents. Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane, absolutely up the top of it. But Trent Alexander, on his game, you can bring him off the bench and he can do a little bit of magic.
Also left out, Maguire, Colwill, Palmer, Foden, Bowen, Welbeck, Calvert-Lewin. I mean, you could build a competitive side out of those who've been left out. Among those in, Jordan Henderson, Dan Burn, Kobbie Mainoo. See the full squad at talksport.com.
Good morning to you. It's Sam Matterface, Gabby Agbonlahor and Alex Crook. We're here right the way through till 1 o'clock this afternoon. Just a bit of extra information for you. You may have heard earlier on Thomas Tuchel when he was talking, discussing some younger players that have come to help the squad out. Those younger players were Alex Scott, Rio Engamoa, Josh King and one other. We've got a good idea of who it is, but it's not sorted yet, apparently, so we have to wait a little bit
I just wonder if it might be Carl Rushworth, because you look at the players that are coming in, they're clearly to replace the three Outfield Arsenal players who are playing in the Champions League final. Dean Henderson's got a Conference League final. That means they need another goalkeeper. I know that Frank Lampard has had a word with the FA and put in a very positive word for Rushworth, so certainly want to keep an eye on.
Yeah, we're expecting that. But it is worth reiterating that if there are any injuries between now and the start of the World Cup, the only one of those four that can be called up is Alex Scott, because he is the only one that was on the initial 55 out of those players. So Alex Scott, probably the next cab off the rank for England if there is a problem, which we hope there won't be. Time to catch up with the latest odds now, all thanks to BetMGM.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
And I'm delighted to say we're joined by Sean Martin now from BetMGM to look at today's top sporting events and discuss the latest odds. Darts, night 16. What did you make of it up in Sheffield?
Yeah, morning lads. Regular season over after 16 nights. Always goes by in the blink of an eye to me, really. Stephen Bunting won in Sheffield, his second nightly win of the season. Beat 3 of the top 4 to win it, actually. And he was a 14-1 shot yesterday when Alex was on with Jim and Simon. Luke Humphries made the final again, his 4th consecutive nightly final. So he goes into the O2 next week in brilliant form. It also meant that he finished 3rd. So next week, finals night, now contains the chance of a Luke versus Luke final for the 3rd season running. They are the top 2 in the betting for next week. Littler 5-6, Humphries 9-4, and then you've got the 2 Welshmen, Gerben Price 11-2 and Johnny Clayton 15-2. And very quickly on the subject of the O2, Viewers listeners might have heard this yesterday. BetMGM are giving away prizes up to £10,000 in cash, Sam, on finals night with their golden giveaway. We're going to be at the Peninsula Spire right outside the O2 in London from noon until 7 p.m. on Thursday the 28th of May. It's completely free to play, so if anyone watching or listening is coming to finals night or is just going to be in that general area on Thursday, then come find us. All you have to do, step up to the hockey, hit an even number, you'll get to choose a key, unlock a vault, and that vault will contain a prize. Could be tickets to finals night, or it could be cash prizes up to 10,000, 18 plus only, and T&Cs apply. But yeah, one for folk to look out for on Thursday, Sam.
Anyone know anyone who's going to finals night?
Well, we're just pleased the championship playoff final didn't get moved.
Yeah, we are a little bit, to be honest with you. We were a little bit worried that we were going to have to reschedule. Gabby, you coming to the darts?
If I can get away, yeah.
If you can get away from what?
Prepping for shows. You know it is, Sam. You know what I mean? You like to work extra than Crookie.
We should all be there on Thursday night, which we're looking forward to. We're also going to be involved in the final day of the season on Sunday, live on talkSPORT. We've got a massive day of action for you. We're taking you all around the ground. We've got everything going on Sunday afternoon on talkSPORT. Obviously, I suppose the big discussion is Tottenham and West Ham who's going to go down, but Liverpool-Brentford is interesting as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, could be a mental day on Sunday. 10 teams, I think it is, with a stake in European football. 4 already locked into the Champions League. Loads to play for otherwise. And we did pick out Liverpool versus Brentford in particular because it kind of unlocks multiple things, really, and has an influence on several other teams. Brentford going to have to win. Liverpool have a chance at 4th, could also slip below Bournemouth, though, if the results really go against them. Could even end up a playoff at a neutral venue for 5th if things go right off the reservation. And on top of all that, it's Mohamed Salah and Andy Robertson's last game at Anfield. Liverpool 3-4 to win, 29-10 the draw, so just under 3-1, and 11-4 a Brentford win. But let me ask you, would any of the three of you not start Mo Salah on Sunday? Because a couple of Liverpool fans in the office, one said don't start him at all. The other said you just have to. It's 3-1.
I would give him like 3 or 4 minutes in the game if I'm honest. Like, I really would. Disrespectful what he said about the manager trying to get him sacked. I definitely wouldn't start him.
I wouldn't play him at all. He won't do that because he knows that any Liverpool fans who are still standing by him will completely turn. But I agree with Gabby. I thought what Mo Salah did during the FA Cup final, that statement was nothing short of disgraceful.
Yes. Golden goals is a big one as well, isn't it, this weekend? Is Alex Crook still waiting to break his duck? This could be the only chance he gets.
I have won some money, though, with my pre-season predictions.
That's not part of the game, though.
That's not the game. Stop deflecting.
By the way, it's 3-1 that Salah doesn't start if Arne Slot ends up agreeing with you. But yeah, golden goals are free to play correct score predictor on the app and on desktop. Players can win up to £250,000 for 6 correct scores. Last one of the Premier League season. Entries need to be in by 4 p.m. on Sunday. Obviously, with you guys, we ask you for the correct score, and if you get it right, we donate £500 to Prostate Cancer UK. I'm told that we've got $3,500 in the pot so far. I've also been told repeatedly, actually, including about 10 seconds ago, that Crookie, you haven't had one right all season. Surely not.
Chance we got.
Well,
surely not.
Listen, if you're being told by Dan Towse that I would ask the question, where is he? Do his usual Friday. I assume he was on the beers at the darts last night.
Another deflection tactic.
You used to have heard the list of excuses coming out of them today, Crookie. Dan Towse says he's at a very important meeting. That's as much as I got out of him. Alex Licence was at the darts last night at Sheffield. Don't know whereabouts in Yorkshire he is. And Charlie Robertson says he's getting married. That's why you've got the guy north of the wall doing it today. But
that's
yeah,
a terrible
we'll start with you,
excuse, that last one from Robertson. By the way, Charlie Robertson's dad would be absolutely delighted because he was worried he was going to miss the Southampton playoff final because he's getting married at the weekend. But now he doesn't have to worry about that anymore.
I don't know if happy was the word, but that's the silver lining from it.
Yeah, Take the
we'll start with you, Mr. Crook. Tottenham versus Everton. What are you thinking?
Well, I've got to say I've been a little bit mischievous with my prediction for this one because producer Maya is a massive Spurs fan. Obviously, a lot of Spurs fans feel like I've got some kind of axe to grind, which I really haven't. But I've gone for Everton to win 2-1 just to crank up the pressure on Tottenham on the final day.
We want to make money. Okay.
Big shout that. I can see the logic. Tottenham joint worst home record in the league alongside Burnley, and Everton okay, not in great form, but 6th best away record still. 2-1 Everton is a 21-2 shout. Gabby, directly related to that game, you've got West Ham Leeds. What are you going for?
So if Nuno Santo doesn't mess around and play 3 centre-halves, hopefully he plays 2 centre-halves. He got it wrong against Newcastle. Hopefully Jared Bowen turns up this weekend. He didn't turn up against Newcastle. He was a ghost when his team needed him the most. But if all those things are positive, West Ham have to win. No option. It should be a cup final sort of vibe to that game. I'm going to go 2-1 win for West Ham.
Well, first of all, if you're right and Crookie's right, that means Spurs go down and West Ham survive. They've obviously not been in good form lately, lost the last 3 in the bounce, but it is kind of different at home for West Ham. Lost to Arsenal
win as well.
The other week, yeah. But in terms of home league games, that's their only loss since early January at home. 2-1 to West Ham is bang on 7-1 at the moment. And finally, Sam, I actually think this is a low-key difficult one to call this. Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth for your good self.
Well, interestingly, I think it's quite fascinating, actually, that Gabby's giving poor old Jared Bowen so much stick, bearing in mind the lad's been literally saving their skin for the last 3 years. Unbelievable. Nottingham Forest against Bournemouth. Nottingham Forest, I think they've 7 games without a win against Bournemouth. Bournemouth trying to get into the Champions League. They'll be hoping that Liverpool do them a favour and that Aston Villa drop off after their brilliant performance in the Europa League final on Wednesday night. I'm going to go 2-0 Bournemouth in this one.
I mean, yep, loads of factors going into this one. Forest, you're right, yet to beat Bournemouth at all in the Premier League. I think it is 7 meetings. And a Bournemouth win to 0 has happened in the last 2 meetings. It's 10-1 for a 2-0 Bournemouth win this time round. The correct score treble pays 900-1 as it stands. But as always, more important is that you lads get some more money in that pot for Prostate Cancer UK. So best of luck, guys.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. That's Sean Martin from BetMGM on a busy day on talkSPORT. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+. Be gamble aware, dog.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+. Gambleaware.org.
Just explain what the story is.
Well, basically, Romero's injured. He can't play. Now, Spurs obviously played the biggest game of the season on Sunday. River Plate are playing against his former team on the last day of the season as well. Both teams can win the league, all right? His former club, that one that he grew up with. I don't know I can't remember the name. Anyway, they kick off at 7 on Sunday. He's gone to Argentina to watch the game instead of Spurs against Everton. Now that for me, the club captain not there on the final day of the season. If that doesn't sum up Spurs right there, that is an absolute joke. Now, there might be an argument to say he's injured, he's gone out to Argentina to get treatment because of the World Cup.
I don't care.
No, I'm the same. The club captain has to be at the final game of the season. Why is the club captain not at the final day of the season? He's going to watch River Plate. That is outrageous. Outrageous. Yeah. That is a sackable offence. Yeah, and whoever's allowed that to happen, whether it's come from the top or Roberto De Zerbi, they should be ashamed of themselves. It sums up Tottenham in every aspect that is allowed to happen. Like, if he don't want to be there, fine. No, he won't want to be there.
No, it's not fine.
No, it's not fine.
That's not fine.
But no, I get that. But in terms of he don't want to be at the club, he wants out, right? Get that. But his teammates will want Romero around the dressing room. His teammates, the people that he's played around, the people that he's played alongside, he's been in the trenches with, and he's decided to go and watch River Plate on the last day of the season. It's disgusting.
No,
it's a joke.
I am absolutely. When Ryan told me this, I looked at him and had to gaze in his eyes and said, "What are you talking about?" I'm thinking, what game is that day? Can he get back from Argentina? Why is he doing that anyway? No, he's going to miss one.
Yeah, they kick off 7:30 on Sunday.
Right, that is.
It's outrageous, mate. It's outrageous.
Maybe he knows what's happening. Maybe he knows you're going to play in Championship football, and he's thinking, do you know what? Right, I know where we're going. I'd rather go and watch a decent.
That's not the point. That's not the point.
And Spurs.
That's not the point. You can't get away with that. You're a club captain. Club captain is not there on the final day of the season. That is.
It's disgusting.
It is so bad. So bad.
and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Inside Series on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Watch the latest Inside Series episode live on talkSPORT's YouTube channel now. 18+, gambleaware.org.
talkSPORT, Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Gabby Agbonlahor. Now this week, Abby Summers, Ricky Sachs and Sonny Snelling discussed their concerns over playing at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on the latest Inside Spurs episode.
People out there like football is meant to be joy,
but it's not.
It's meant to be escapism.
You've
got the worst of the
lives.
two parallels, like we said, them not doing what they're doing, where we are, and you look at, okay, which players are ready for this battle? Which players are focused on the job at hand? And my worry is, as I've said, that I don't think a lot of these players, number one, it's a lack of quality, and number two, it's the mentality of not being in this situation before to try and comprehend getting us out of it. And they did, to be fair to them, in the last few weeks beforehand, putting that performance at Aston Villa. Yes, it was a much-changed side, but my fear is...
Was that a bit lucky in the end, though?
No,
my biggest worry about you guys is it's just the fact that we're back at home again. That's my worry. We're back at home again.
We played at the back-to-back last games have been at the two worst venues we play at, Stamford Bridge and the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
But that's why I actually was more confident going to Chelsea than I was for the Everton game. I thought, just get this wrapped up. Like, just please just get a point. Because we could get a point. We could have got a point last night.
River Plate, great game.
And don't forget, you can watch all the latest Inside Series episodes on talkSPORT's YouTube channel. Thanks to BetMGM, 18+, begambleaware.org.
Inside Series on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Watch the latest Inside Series episode live on talkSPORT's YouTube channel now. 18+, gambleaware.org.
And Tottenham, who are looking to complete their first league double over Everton since 2017-18, will be a subject that we get into a little bit later on. These two boys just having a little bit of a laugh about Christian Romero, winding each other up.
Said, what a top pro, Christian Romero.
What a great captain.
Great leader.
We'll talk about that after.
Spurs till he dies.
Careful, Maya, our producer today, big Spurs fan. She is absolutely fuming and she's very nervous about Sunday. We'll cover that game, by the way, live on talkSPORT on Sunday afternoon, as we will all of the games that take place on Sunday afternoon as we define how the Premier League table looks at the end of the season. We've got European places to sort out, relegation to sort out as well. We're talking about the England squad, though, and we have been for most of the morning. Big headlines this morning: no Foden, no Palmer, no Maguire, but Ivan Toney is in. Henderson's in, no Wharton. Sam, it's the talent you're leaving out with the exclusion of Foden, Palmer and Trent. Game changers, even off the bench. Granted, not had the best of seasons, but they are the most talented players in the group. So for me, it's madness, says one texter. One texter says, unfortunately, I don't believe in Tuchel. No squad with Dan Burn, Henderson, Stones and Spence has a realistic chance of winning anything. And it's a team with only one playmaker who may not even start. Crazy. Great show, lads, says Matt, the Arsenal fan. You all called for Southgate out. Now we have a winning manager who isn't being ruled by his heart. He's chosen winners who have been around winning teams all season, not players struggling for relegation, not players who haven't had the chance to win a trophy this season. Come on, England, says Matt in Islington. Let's speak to Matt, who's a Liverpool fan. Hello, mate.
Hi, how's it going, Sam?
Good, mate. What do you want to say?
Well, basically, all I want to say is this isn't an England squad, in my view. This is a Thomas Tuchel squad. and he's very much put his own imprint on that side. I guess the thing that staggers me most, if I'm brutally honest, is that we don't have any invention in the side. I totally accept the fact that Trent Alexander-Arnold, for example, hasn't had the best of the season at Real Madrid, but he's just slowly picking up form, and the boy can pass, and the boy can unlock defences. And this is what Liverpool have lacked last season. And I think England will lack that immensely. I mean, I cannot see a member of that squad that can basically unlock a defence. And
Reece
don't
James.
forget we're playing at a very high international level. We're going to be subject to the high press and all the rest of it. And I don't see enough playmakers in the squad.
You don't think that Morgan Rogers, Jude Bellingham, Eberechi Eze, Marcus Rashford, Bukayo Saka, Madueke, Anthony Gordon can unlock a defence?
To be brutally honest, I do think they will struggle because, I mean, at the end of the day, Arsenal play a certain way, and it's not necessarily an international football side of things. I'm more concerned about the likes of that have been left. I mean, for me, Trent Alexander should be in the side because, all right, he's not going to be a first pick because he's not the best defensively, but at the end of the day, he can pass the ball, he can take a free kick. And the other guy that I think has been really badly done by is Adam Wharton, to be brutally honest. I've got a very, very good friend of mine who's a Blackburn fan who's been waxing lyrical about the guy before he went to Palace. And I think Liverpool should sign him. I can't understand why the likes of Spence, why the likes of the Newcastle central defender.
But Matt, those players, with respect, don't play in the same position as Adam Wharton. And one of the things that he was very key on in his press conference earlier on was about balance. And he wants balance in the team. And managers have to make calls.
Yeah, however, what I would say, and I thought Stuart Pearce made this point brilliantly, he's taken 9 defenders. You probably only need a maximum of 8. And the reason he's taken 9 is because he's worried about John Stone's fitness, he's worried about Reece James' fitness, and he's worried about Tino Livramento's fitness. Now, if you'd only taken 8 defenders, there would be a spot for somebody like Adam Wharton or Morgan Gibbs-White to join that list of midfielders.
OK, let's speak to Thomas Tuchel himself. Matt, thank you very much. He's been speaking to Faye Carruthers. There's a little snippet doing the rounds about what he's said to her. And this is it. We'll get the full interview after midday today, but this is a preview.
Yes, I can. We have 26 very committed players in camp. They're committed to their role. They know their role. They're committed to their role on and off the pitch. They're happy to be unselfish. They're happy to buy and commit to the idea of building a brotherhood, of playing as a team, and of having the right spirit in camp. They showed us this in September, October, November. We created exactly the feeling and the mentality and the energy that we want to carry us through the tournament, and this is where the selection went. So yeah, we need a bit of trust now. I know that it will create noise. There is no way of this group of 55 that you narrow it down to 26, however you would do it, without creating noise. It's just impossible. So the noise is normal. It comes with difficult decisions. I love the difficult decisions because it gives us clarity, it gives us a certain edge, and from there we go.
And fascinatingly, he's given a brilliant answer to Faye Carruthers on his exclusion of Palmer and Foden, which we will play you in the next section of the programme. So stick around. This is talkSPORT with Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Gabby Agbonlahor. We're live on talkSPORT.
When you sitting with your squad and you're looking to pick a squad of 26, you say, how many defenders do we need? I would normally go with 8.
There's 9, isn't there, in this
There's
one?
9. And I wonder whether, mentioned earlier, question marks on Stone's fitness, James's fitness, and maybe Livramento's. Yep. 3 players has put an extra defender in his mind to cover that. which I think has been at the cost of Cole Palmer at the front end of the team looking at this.
Well, let's be ultimately clear. When you go through the squad, Livramento's played 164 minutes in the Premier League since the last international break. James has played 83 minutes of the cup final, but not played against Spurs. He played 27 minutes off the bench against Liverpool at Anfield the week before. Stones, since the 2nd of December, has featured 4 times for Manchester City, totalling just 253 minutes of action. And Jed Spence, I mean, look, he played 70 minutes against Uruguay in the friendly on the Friday night of the last international break, but he's only started once under Roberto De Zerbi. So it's not as if everybody in that back line is playing regular football.
I guess you can look at that 2 ways. You could say there's a risk because they've not played many minutes, or you could say actually they're coming in fresher than some of the players because they've not played so many minutes. Looking at your face, Stuart, you think they should have had a lot more minutes under their belt.
I think people are a little bit deluded with this word fresh. Listen, I'm fresh. I ain't played for 20 years. Don't make me a better player, you know? I think it's very, very misleading. People say being fresh. I like to get in a routine, a rhythm, 90 minutes, going to major tournaments. I'm sure Gab's the same. If you said to him, like, have a month off and then deliver, well, he'd probably take that. I'm wrong individual, sorry. But most people, most normal human beings need the consistency of playing. And this fresh, it's a red herring. Honestly, it really is. You're telling me, leave me out and don't play me a great deal since the 2nd of December in John Stones is going to be helpful this summer? I don't see it.
And he has a history of picking up injuries. Didn't he pull out the last squad injured at the last minute?
He did, but the other thing to mention is that he always seems to be available for England, especially at major tournaments, and he has managed to do that regularly.
talkSPORT Sports Update powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good afternoon, I'm Max Scott here with your sports headlines. It's noon on England squad announcement day, and in case you missed it going about your business, here is the full squad tasked with winning the World Cup. Goalkeepers are Pickford, Henderson, Trafford. Defenders, Jed Spence is included, as well as Byrne, Stones, Gahey, Konza, Kwanzaa, Livramento and Nico O'Reilly. In midfield, Elliot Anderson, Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice, Eza, Mainu, Rogers and Jordan Henderson. In attack, Harry Kane, Gordon, Madueke, Bukayo Saka, Marcus Rashford, Ollie Watkins and yes, Ivan Toney. Here's Thomas Tuchel.
We always said we want to be a strong set-piece team, so we have specialists for that, and we want to be a strong penalty team. We have specialists for that.
He says England first need to create a brotherhood in the squad and then anything is possible. And that he was surprised by Harry Maguire's public show of frustration at his omission.
I can see the reason behind the disappointment. Still, I was a bit surprised because we had a private conversation and he had the chance to express his feelings, which he did, and this is fair enough.
Tuchel says the defenders he picked are key to his leadership group. England legend Stuart Pearce says Harry Maguire should be in and reckons the selection of injury doubts like the likes of John Stones means Tuchel's had to overcompensate on defenders.
I think that is what's cost the likes of Cole Palmer a place in this squad. I really do. The fact that he's got to safeguard his back line, so he's picked 9 players there. That's how I'm seeing this.
Some other major omissions: no Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, Morgan Gibbs-White or Trent Alexander-Arnold. If that's not enough, in other massive news, Manchester City have confirmed Pep has 1 game left as City manager and will take up an ambassadorial role with the City Group. Don't ask me the reasons I'm leaving, he says. There's no reason, but deep inside, I know it's my time. Nothing is eternal. If it was, I would be here. And finally, Michael Carrick has signed a 2-year deal with 1-year option to extend at Manchester United. His coaching staff includes Steve Holland, Johnny Evans, Travis Binion and Craig Mawson. They've all signed on as well.
talkSPORT News.
Heat health alerts are in place and melanoma diagnoses have topped 20,000 a year for the first time. Amelia's got more in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. The weather's hotter than a barbecue on a bank holiday. So score an aircon recharge at your local QuickFit. Visit quickfit.com and book today.
A largely sunny day across England and Wales, cloudy across Scotland and Northern Ireland with some occasional rain, but also sunny spells.
talkSPORT with Sam Matterface, Gabby Agbonlahor and Alex Crook, and we're going to hear from the England manager who's been sitting down with our England correspondent Faye Carruthers in the last few minutes to reflect on his announcement of the 26 men who are going to represent England at the World Cup. And she started by asking him whether or not she believed and he believed that this team could win the World Cup.
Because I think it's a good mix. It's a very balanced group overall. I think we have a significant amount of guys who want to start every match and who can take minutes off each other on a very, very high level. We have a usefulness and a freshness in the squad with our young players, 6 under-20s who come from under-21s, and Kobe and Nico O'Reilly, who are still very young and highly decorated already. We have specialists for all scenarios. We want to be a top. We want to be a top set piece team. We want to be a top penalty team. That all is part of the decision making. And then, we have a decent leadership group that took care of this team and of the values and of the way this team carried itself on and off the pitch from September, and we were not ready to compromise on that. So the trust goes into this group, and we will. We have to prove ourselves, but that was always the case, no?
One of those specialists is Ivan Toney.
Yeah.
You even said yourself in the press conference it surprised you that you're bringing him out. Does the hot weather that he plays in out in Saudi Arabia contribute a little bit? What has made you bring him?
We went through all the scenarios, and in the end we said, like, what would be our most offensive maybe lineup if we need a goal, if we're 1-0 down and it's 15 minutes to play, 10 minutes plus extra time. Who could play actually with Harry? Because would we take Harry off? Maybe not. But who can take and if we are chasing, if we spend time in the opponent's box, if balls falls down, if we play with a lot of crosses, who should be in there with Harry? And then it was the identity and the key characteristic of Ivan Toney, of course, who comes into play. Could have been Calvert-Lewin, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Yes, could have. So it was a close call here because he's also strong in the air. He's also a good penalty taker. But we chose in the end maybe a 51% decision for Ivan because of his personality, because of his experience, because of his help with set pieces, and he's a world-class penalty taker. So it makes him part of a special team. He fully committed to this role, and he had the same role in Germany and was excellent. So he got the call.
I need to focus on some of the players that aren't involved. Cole Palmer in Germany was a difference maker when he came on in the final and scored the equaliser. I know he's not had the best season. We've talked about Phil Foden, but those two players in particular are, I think everybody would say they've not had the best form this season, but why did you decide not to bring them?
I think with Cole on top, I agree. He had not the best season in his club. He was not as decisive as he was in previous seasons. On top, it is a reality that he was not a lot available for us. He was not decisive for us. So, and he competes on the most difficult position, on the half right 10, where we decided for Jude, Morgan and Epps, who are outstanding players and had better season and more influence in our camps than Cole. It is a very difficult and a very hard decision. There is no question about his talent. There's no question what he can give you in special moments. but the decision was still against him. With Phil is a little bit different because Phil was excellent in camp for us. He was not only excellent in training but also off training. He was open. He was in good spirits, and it hurt me a lot actually to call him and to tell him this decision. I could see in his reaction how much it affects him, how much it would have meant to him for him to come. But I think, like with Cole and especially with Phil, he lost momentum in a crucial moment of the season, and basically the last half of the season. We could see glimpses here and there, but not a lot of evidence. I was not even sure in the end what position his position is, and is it a 10, is it a false 9, is it maybe more Bernardo Silva role in the future as a number 8? It is maybe not on the wing anymore, so it does not also make sense for me to just bring players and then play them out of position, to have them in camp. It will just also make them uncomfortable, make them unhappy. So the decisions have to be made before, and the two names were very difficult ones.
And I can imagine how much it hurt Phil, and we know how much it's hurt Harry Maguire, because he's already put a statement out saying how unhappy he was with the decision. His family have as well. You did clarify in the last camp that he was still your 5th choice defender, but I think many of the questions that England fans have, for example, are why Dan Burn and not Harry Maguire, or why Jarell Quansah and not Harry Maguire?
So this is basically, I will not go into this ping pong of names and why him and not him. First of all, Jarell gives us a completely different profile as a number 5, because for me he is the backup in all 4 positions. He can play left fullback, left centre back, right centre back, and right fullback. So he covers all positions, which is basically ideal. And he was very, very strong in the 3 months in camp, on and off the pitch and in training. He played a very good season on a high level, played Champions League. So, and why Dan Burn? The question is, why not Dan Burn? Dan was crucial in my first camp. He came as in the way he came, in the way he behaved. He held himself as a personality. He has a huge influence on other players. With the person that he is, he's just so honest. He's just so down to earth. He's like just the way he acts and he drives standards in training. Together with Jordan Henderson was one of a kind, and we don't want to lose out on him.
2 quick final questions. One is on the collective and winning the World Cup, and a message to fans, because some of them they do say Agent Tuchel, because they weren't 100% certain whether a German coach can lead England to the World Cup, and they're questioning a lot of these decisions. I just want to know what your message is to those doubters.
No, you have to trust us. I mean, I'm struggling a little bit with the wording and all of that. I mean, it comes with doubts. They have to trust. We cannot please everyone. We will make the point. They cannot have a coach that is more proud to be the English coach. They cannot have a coach who's more dedicated to win it with England. It is a dream come true for me. So if there's still anyone doubting, we have to convince them on the pitch, and this will start in group phase and not with any words now.
It was fantastic, wasn't it? The way he explains all his decision. Every time we sit down and we do an England squad, we always have the same thing. Everyone's getting a little bit slightly flustered, and then Thomas Tuchel comes in and he just says it as he sees it, which is he knows that it's going to create noise, and he actually quite likes the idea of that. The noise is normal. I love the difficult decisions, he says. He said he picked Tony because he can play with Kane if he needs to go with someone extra alongside Harry Kane with the last 10 minutes to go. They're chasing a goal. He can be that man. It was a 51% decision on Ivan Toney over Dominic Calvert-Lewin. When he was talking about Cole Palmer, he said, not available enough for us. Eza, Jude and Rodgers all had better seasons and played better in camp. And with Foden, he said, excellent camp for us. Saw in his reaction how much it meant, but lost momentum in a crucial part of the season. And he wasn't sure what position he was in. It was a fascinating interview.
Yeah, I thought the Foden stuff in particular, basically saying that Phil Foden as a player is suffering from a bit of an identity crisis at this moment in time. Is he a false number 9? Is he a number 10? He sees him long-term as a number 8. He says he's definitely not a winger anymore. I would agree with that. I don't think he ever really was a wing player, but it's going to be a big summer and a big season for Phil Foden, because we know that Pep Guardiola is leaving. Enzo Maresca is going to come in and replace him. That's a pretty open secret. We've been reporting that on talkSPORT, and Foden will be hoping that Maresca can help him find that permanent position in the Manchester City team and get back to top form in order to force his way back in for the European Championship squad.
Talking of people that are trying to force themselves back in, apparently Thomas Tuchel's also said today that Morgan Gibbs-White is high up on the list if someone gets injured. He also said he was close to getting in, Gabby, as a left winger, as he's been playing recently in that position for Nottingham Forest.
I think he can play anywhere across that front line. Morgan Gibbs-White is that sort of player that, you know, if you played as an 8, as a 6, as a 10, as a winger, as a false 9, you know what performance he's going to put in. I was shocked because the performance he's been putting in against Villa, especially in that first leg. Obviously, he missed the second leg. That was probably one of the reasons Aston Villa got through. No Morgan Gibbs-White playing. We were frightened of him. Fantastic player, and to score the most goals in the Premier League for an English player as well. Fantastic season he's had. And he'll be gutted because World Cups mean a lot to players, Sam. I didn't make World Cup squads. I was close, and you're gutted afterwards because that's the highest level you can play.
You've got to wait 4 years for the next one.
Exactly, yeah.
And which is, I think, hence the Harry Maguire disappointment as well, because he knows it's probably not going to happen for him. Again, absolutely fascinating morning on talkSPORT. I don't even know what day it is right now, to be honest with you. Apparently, there are a couple more games that we've got to get into over the course of the next 45 minutes.
That's a quick question, Sam, quickly. If Wharton and Gibbs-White are playing at a bigger club, would they have been in the squad?
That's a brilliant question, actually, but one of the replies I had on social media when I was breaking the squad last night said, well, that's it. You know, Gibbs-White, Wharton, they'll definitely leave their clubs now because they'll feel they're not in because they're not playing for one of the big boys.
Well, it's certainly, I think Wharton was always favourite to leave Crystal Palace anyway. Morgan Gibbs-White's just signed a brand new contract to be captain of Nottingham Forest, so that'll be...
Anderson's there, and he's in the squad.
And on the subject of Anderson, actually, it's my understanding that his future could even be decided before the World Cup kicks off. He is expected to leave Nottingham Forest. They've got a big bounty on his head.
Where?
In the region of £100 million. Manchester City are the most advanced.
Yeah, I thought that was the case. 03717223344. This is talkSPORT. Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Gabby Agbonlahor. This weekend is the last weekend of the Premier League season, and Spurs can still get relegated. We'll do that next.
Thomas Tuchel, when it comes to naming these squads, he always gives us a headline, doesn't he? Do you remember when we were broadcasting from Ascot and he left out Jude Bellingham? Obviously, Trent Alexander-Arnold has been omitted, so there is always a talking point. But I think if we'd sat down yesterday, before obviously we started getting all the news yesterday afternoon, and put our 26-man squad down, there's probably, 4 names in there that maybe we wouldn't have expected?
3 or 4, maybe, yeah.
None of us would have had Ivan Toney. I mean, not Ivan Toney wouldn't have had himself by the sound of things.
The fact he's at the embassy this morning tells you everything.
Yeah. As far as the back four is concerned, I think it will be James, Konsa, Gay and O'Reilly to start the first game of the tournament. I think we're pretty solid on that. So therefore, you can afford to take a couple of wild cards, a couple of slightly different players that fill gaps later on in the tournament. John Stones, we mentioned lack of minutes. You know, we can't expect him to play 10 games or 8 games in 4.5 weeks. It's not viable bearing the amount of minutes that he's got under his belt. But class is permanent, and Thomas Tuchel likes to have him around. If you remember last year when we were in Girona, he wasn't fit. But he brought him into the camp even though he wasn't part of the squad because he wants him around. Why is that? Just explain to us what it is about him that he really likes.
Well, these boys have got to spend 7 weeks together, you know, so you've got to have the chemistry right within the group. If you've got some great influences within that group, it's brilliant, you know, just to facilitate everyone. More importantly, I, as a manager, never had to worry about number 1 to 11. They looked after themselves. You take them to a major tournament, they're picked, they're happy. It's the ones from 12 to 26. I always used to make sure, as a manager, whenever we went to a major tournament, the day after we played, I would be one of the coaches on the training pitch taking the coaching to show to those numbers 12 to 26, I'm here and I care about you. You have to do that. You have to do your work with those players. If you've got a few role models in there on the playing staff that can do that for you, double whammy.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Hello, good afternoon. It's Sam Matterface alongside Gabby Agbonlahor and Alex Crook. We're here through till 1 o'clock this afternoon. We know that there's a title a race that is over and that Arsenal have been celebrating all week. There's still a lot to play for, though, in the Premier League this Sunday, live on talkSPORT. And to break down exactly what is at stake, here's Max Scott to bring you all of the permutations. Oh, frozen. I think that crashed. Max Scott's brain is overloaded.
I think he nailed it there, didn't he? Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe he's not over the defeat against Aston Villa. Max, it's gone, mate. It's gone.
Well, listen, I'll tell you what the permutations are. There are 9 different outcomes that can happen for Tottenham and West Ham over the weekend. Only one of them sees West Ham stay up. Basically, if Spurs win, they are safe, and West Ham's result becomes entirely irrelevant. If Spurs draw, they're effectively safe because a draw takes them to 39 points. They've got a massive goal difference. West Ham can only stay up if they win and Tottenham lose this Sunday.
Am I right in thinking the only teams in the Premier League that can finish the last day of the season where they start it are the top 3? Arsenal champions, City are going to finish second. United are going to finish third. Yeah, they're the only 3 teams guaranteed of a final.
There's
position.
10 teams that are in the European permutations, yeah.
And Wolves could still yet finish above Burnley.
We know the money involved with extra place. You finish higher as well. It's massive finances.
Massive. But the money involved in staying in the Premier League is much bigger. And of course, that is where we're going to concentrate our energy now, because Tottenham Hotspur blew their chance to stay in the division on Tuesday night when they managed to lose at Chelsea. A nervy final day now awaits for Roberto De Zerbi and his players, and for everyone at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I'll be there with Stuart Pearce on Sunday. And Gabby Agbonlahor, is this self-inflicted?
They've been unlucky with injuries, of course. There are a lot more injuries than any other team. Big players that have been out. Look at Kulusevski, not played much of the season. James Maddison, a big one as well. Romero, maybe not a big injury to have because of his performances. But also, players haven't been good enough. Players haven't turned up. Players haven't performed. Van der Ven, he's not been the Van der Ven that the big clubs have been looking at. Even if he goes in the summer, who's going to be paying the money Spurs would want? Big time games, big moments. Spurs have failed this season. And this last game of the season now with their home record, you'd be a fool to back them.
Did the board put the club in this position by making poor decisions?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, when they appointed Thomas Frank to replace Ange Postecoglou, I think we all felt that could be a good move. It was probably too much change too quickly in terms of the playing style to go from, someone who is so front-footed to someone who is so pragmatic. I think the mistake they made was sticking with Thomas Frank for too long, not because he's a bad manager, but because it was pretty clear the players weren't playing for him and the fans weren't having him either. Then where they stumble upon Igor Tudor from, I don't know. I think if they got De Zerbi in straight away, probably we'd be talking about Tottenham being safe now.
The anxiety around the place, didn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, he stunk the place out, Tudor. There's no two ways about it.
The centre midfielders as well. You got Sarr, you got Bentancur, you got Bergvall, you got Gallagher, you got Archie Gray, you got Paulinho. And how many of those midfielders have actually had fantastic seasons? It's been a bit of a mismatch. It's like, okay, these three are starting this game, and it's going to be a rotation. You look at other Premier League sides, you can name the two centre midfielders for every team.
Some of that has been down to the injuries, as you've already mentioned, but some of that has been down to inconsistency of performance as well. Xavi Simons started to play well, then Igor Tudor decided he wasn't for him, took him out of the team, then when he was brought back in again, he ended up picking up an injury. Talk to me a little bit about Christian Romero.
I mean, I've got a smile on my face because I remember being on this programme, I think it was the day before Tottenham played Manchester United. I described Romero as a liability, certainly someone who wasn't fit to captain Tottenham. I got hammered for it, and then he got himself stupidly sent off at Old Trafford. And now we're talking about probably, undoubtedly actually, Tottenham's biggest game since the Premier League came into being in 1992. Where's their captain? He's off watching his boyhood team in Argentina. I think that just sums up all that's been wrong about Tottenham this season. And
It's a big game, though.
if they do stay up, the dressing room needs a complete cleanse.
It is a big game, though, isn't it? He was at Belgrano from 16 to 20 years of age, played 16 professional games.
He came through the ranks there.
Yeah, they can win against River Plate, Crookie, to win their first title in the
You're on a wind up here, aren't you?
That's got to be bigger than Tottenham being potentially relegated.
It's got to be bigger than
the captain doesn't need. The captain can't do anything if he can't walk.
No. Who pays his wages?
Maybe he's got to sort his visa for the World Cup out. Maybe.
Honestly.
I mean, it's not.
It's dreadful.
It's not like it's not like it's Tottenham's biggest game since they were relegated in 1977.
It sums him up. And I feel like all the Spurs fans that have backed him, you've had stick on here, Crookie, a Spurs fan saying you got an agenda against Romero or whatever. You were spot on, mate. A captain shouldn't be getting sent off so much. Captain shouldn't be losing his head with referees. Captain should be there in the changing room giving a team talk before the game.
Absolutely.
Not in Argentina having a fancy bit of food, fancy steak before watching River Plate against your boy.
Good steaks, though, aren't they, in Argentina?
He's not even been discreet, is he? He's posted about it on social media, which he loves to do.
Mate. Couldn't care less.
If you're Roberto De Zerbi, the first thing you're doing, sell him.
Sam, how are Spurs even letting him? If I'm Spurs, I'm saying, okay, I'm going to fine you the maximum for not being at the stadium.
Have they given him time to go back to Argentina to rehabilitate?
Why?
I don't know. I'm asking.
Let him go after the last game of the season. If I'm a Spurs fan, I'm like, wow.
The optics are terrible.
Wow.
Absolutely terrible.
Read the room.
Bearing in mind, over the course of this season, the optics of Spurs have not been good, and they've managed every situation probably in the worst possible way. The fact that they've allowed him to go back, or that he has just decided to go back, it's scandalous, really. It's the final game of the season. They need to win to stay up. The captain should be there on the sidelines.
There's a lot of words we could call him and we can't call him on air. I'm sure there's Spurs fans out there, when they heard this yesterday, will be using those words.
Is there another reason behind this? Is there anything else that can mitigate as to why he's made this decision?
He's checked out, hasn't he? He clearly doesn't want to be a Tottenham player anymore, whether they stay up or go down. I think he wants out in the summer. I think he wanted out last summer. Obviously, he's not once but twice, I think, gone on social media and really ran the club into the ground, which is why I'm a bit surprised that the Spurs fans can't see his faults. He's also not even that good.
You know what's funny, though, guys, was when he got the injury he got a few weeks ago, the crocodile tears. They weren't about missing Spurs games and maybe Spurs go down without you. That was like, will I be okay for the World Cup? Will I be okay? He couldn't care less.
Is he going to be okay for the World Cup? How long is he out for?
He might be. You never know.
We're due to play Argentina, aren't we? At some point, potentially, if the draw goes as we think.
He knows he scores the winner.
Anybody can play anybody in this because of the third place thing, so it's a little bit more.
I was going to say Argentina probably got more chance if he's injured.
03717223344. Quickly, Nuno needs to beat Leeds and pray that Everton do him a favour in North London. That's a lot of praying, isn't it, for West Ham United? They themselves have not got themselves into a great position.
There's no guarantee that West Ham win their own game in their form recently. I mean, Leeds have shown, even though they've been safe, they've turned up against Spurs. They fought for that draw, could have won it as well. So I look at maybe West Ham. I think they will win, but they could easily draw that game. And Spurs know that they need at least just 1 point to stay in the Premier League. Surely they can't blow that.
They've had the chances.
Twice.
I know, mate.
Leeds, if they'd beaten Leeds, it would have been done. If they'd got anything from the Chelsea game, it would have been done. Okay, I know there's that marginal decision where the ball's not in play and it could have been a penalty in other circumstances, but that's been going on all season, by the way. But they were 2-0 down, by the way, in that game against Chelsea, who've had a terrible campaign. So I don't understand why they haven't been able to raise.
So what's funny, though? David Moyes, West Ham fans wanted him out of West Ham. Now they're the favour of David Moyes. Everton turn up? Are they on the beach? No, Everton side you need to perform.
He's the type of character, he would love to go there and win. I believe that.
Yeah, I hope so.
And partly because he can do West Ham a favour, because I don't think he left with any sour grapes.
He's interested in getting points for Everton.
Yeah, I mean they can't qualify for Europe now, can they? Which takes a little bit.
What
of
if they move up?
away.
What if they move up an extra place to get some more money? That is a club that needs.
Do you know what wouldn't surprise me this weekend? If both Tottenham and West Ham lose.
It wouldn't surprise me if they both fail to win.
Well, you both spot on though about the managers now are different. Even Villa had their parade yesterday because they had a training session planned for today to take the game seriously on Sunday. He'll play strongest side on Sunday. He'll want to finish above Liverpool. He won't care about Bournemouth might get. No, he's going to want to finish above Liverpool.
Hold on, Unai. Just do the league a favour here.
Well.
Yeah, let's not take it too.
What would you be doing if you just won a European trophy? You wouldn't be taking the next game that seriously, I wouldn't imagine.
I don't think I would be seeing for maybe till pre-season, Crookie. I'll be partying still. But I do think these players, this manager, he's the sort of character, this manager, he's going to want to win the last game against Manchester City and finish in the top four.
We don't want that. We don't want that.
Well, what do you want?
We want you to finish 5th.
So at Bournemouth game.
Just for the league. We want 6 teams in the Champions League.
You love Bournemouth, don't you?
I want Bournemouth to be in it. I would love Bournemouth to be in it, but I don't trust Liverpool either against Brentford.
Up the Champions League cherries.
Gabby Agbonlahor is here. He says that if he'd won a European trophy, you wouldn't have seen him till pre-season. He did 5 days last week and he had to go to the Algarve to recover.
That was tough. How can people do 5 days a week? That was incredibly tough. Okay.
03717223344. This is talkSPORT with Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Gabby Agbonlahor. We're here till 1 o'clock. Look at some of the attackers. Palmer and Foden left at home. The two omissions probably that define the talking points of the squad.
But we all expected it. I've been saying it for the last 2 months, and Manchester City fans and Chelsea fans are like, no, you can't leave them out. It's Cole Palmer, it's Foden. We know what Palmer can do in big games. But when you're not performing in that position where we've got so much talent, like Rodgers, Eze, look at Bowen, unfortunate not to be in the squad. Gibbs White can't get in the squad. So I don't think it's a shock that Foden and Palmer don't make it.
One of the things that he has said, Thomas Tuchel, is that he wasn't going to take a batch of number 10s. He was going to take players that played in specific positions in that front line. He has only taken 3 of them. He couldn't take 5. He didn't want to take Foden and Palmer and then crowbar them into the team out of position. Is that the right call?
I think so, because we saw, going back to the last European Championships, Gareth Southgate tried to do that with Foden in particular, and he ended up having a nightmare of a tournament. Palmer was used only sparingly. So, yeah, I understand the argument. I would have taken one more in that number 10 position, because obviously you can play Bellingham deeper if needed as well. And I think if you're talking about taking one more, Gabby's dead right on form. Foden has been off it for a long time. Palmer has had an injury-afflicted season and hasn't really been the Cole Palmer of old. Morgan Gibbs-White would have been the one for me. You look at his numbers, his best ever goal-scoring season. He's carried Forest away from relegation danger into a major European semi-final. So I think of all the players that have been left out, he'll be concerned this morning. I was just thinking there, actually, can we lend a few of these to Scotland? They'd appreciate it.
Unnecessary? Would you say unnecessary? Stoking the fires with...
He is. I don't know whether that's an insult to England or Scotland at this moment in time. We'll dig deeper later.
Morgan Gibbs-White, the joint most goal contributions of any English player in the Premier League this season, didn't make the squad. 17 goals, Europa League semi-finalists. Come up with some big moments as well when Forest have needed it most. As a Forest man yourself, does that irk you a little bit?
I've looked at Gibbs-White's performances over the last 2 or 3 years. When he plays well, Forest play well. You know, he does have dips in form, to be fair, and it's probably cost managers their job on occasion, to be quite honest with you. But the bottom line is, at this moment in time, if you turn around and said who is really bang on form, Gibbs-White is one of those people.
It's official, the World Cup squad is out. A few names we all recognise in there, of course, but a few surprises. Perhaps none more surprising than Ivan Toney. But talkSPORT's Dean Saunders says he doesn't know why we're all so shocked.
He's not become a bad player just because he's playing in Saudi. He's got 32 goals this season.
In 32 appearances in the league.
32 games. When you lose in a game, you've got to have players on the bench who've got an instinct to get you an equaliser or get you a winner.
Meanwhile, Jed Spence has made it. Despite his broken jaw and form for Spurs, he does raise a concern from Stuart Pearce.
It sounds brilliant. He can play left back, he can play right back. But time and time again, we've tried that. And once they get in advanced areas, Trippier played it, didn't he, for us left back? I think it runs aground and it's checking back all the time and slows play down.
So Jed Spence in, Trent Alexander-Arnold out. Trent's one of a number of surprise omissions, and Henry Winter isn't impressed.
England don't really have too many truly world-class talents. Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane, absolutely up the top of it. But Trent Alexander, on his game, you can bring him off the bench and he can do a little bit of magic.
Also left out, Maguire, Colwill, Palmer, Foden, Bowen, Welbeck, Calvert-Lewin. I mean, you could build a competitive side out of those who've been left out. Among those in, Jordan Henderson, Dan Burn, Kobbie Mainoo. See the full squad at talksport.com.
Hello, it's talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface and Alex Crook. So many text messages coming in. I'm so sorry we haven't got to as many calls as we would have loved to have done today. Drive will take your calls as well after 4 o'clock. And Kyle Walker is on, which is a great thing because with Pep Guardiola leaving, he is the perfect man to discuss all things Manchester City. We can tell you that in the last few minutes it has been confirmed that Pep Guardiola is having a stand named after him at the Etihad Stadium. The newly expanded North Stand, which will open for the first time for the final home game of the season, will be named the Pep Guardiola Stand.
Deserved. Premier League legends. Would you put him top or would you put Sir Alex Ferguson still top cookie?
Why don't we find out on Fiery Fridays?
Okay.
Available?
It is.
Okay, sorry, guys.
My hot take this week that Pep Guardiola not quite in the same league as Sir Alex Ferguson.
It's not quite what you said.
I said he couldn't hold a torch to Sir Alex Ferguson, I think.
Which I think is a bit strong.
How much is the pressure on if it is Maresca, whoever it is that comes in now? Wow.
Massive.
Wow.
Because it's a big rebuild as well, isn't it? You know, It's not just Pep who's going to leave this weekend. Bernardo Silva, John Stones, obviously leaving for the World Cup, but also leaving Manchester City. There's still a lot of chatter about Rodri, and I've got to say, he looks a million miles away from the player he was, Rodri. So maybe the time could be right to cash in on him. And obviously Maresca is going to have to replace those stalwarts and try and put his own playing style on the squad, because it is different, his type of football to Guardiola's.
Yeah, it is. More patient build-up, probably a little bit slower in possession, building from the back, I would have thought. Yeah, but he comes from the same basic principles, and I'm sure that the blueprint that Manchester City have set will be part of.
Could Manchester United finish above Manchester City next season?
Well, that might be
that's a fair shout.
Day, because we probably should concentrate on the race for Europe, which does resume this weekend. And Manchester City winning the FA Cup and the EFL Cup. Because of that, European spots awarded by winning those competitions have now transferred to the league. Because City have already managed to secure Champions League football. It means that currently 6th and 7th is a Europa League place, 8th is a Conference League place. Remember, there's every chance that Crystal Palace can win the Conference League and get a Europa League spot as well. So after winning the Europa League, if Villa finish 5th, then 6th becomes a Champions League spot, 7th a Europa League spot, and 8th a Conference League spot. So there is only going to be 8 places from the league, but we might get Palace in there as well. Brighton play Manchester United. Brighton currently have 53 points. They're in 7th position. So at the moment, as it stands, they're in the Europa League, but that might well end up becoming that will be a Europa League place no matter what. But 6 could end up being a Champions League place, which is where Bournemouth reside right now, 56 points, and they play Nottingham Forest. You'd expect them to win that, wouldn't you?
Well, I think they need a point, don't they, to guarantee 6th place. So, yeah, I don't think they'll get beat. You know, I was really impressed with Bournemouth against Manchester City on Tuesday night. I think they were really unlucky not to win the game. David Brooks has gone through one-on-one, hit the post. That would have given them a 2-0 lead, and City weren't coming back from that. And they're on this incredible unbeaten run. I think Andoni Iraola has done an unbelievable job when you look at the volume and the quality of players they lost, not only in the summer, but obviously Semenyo to City mid-season. And it was only 17 years ago that they beat Grimsby. Steve Fletcher scored at the end, which is now named after him, to keep them in the Football League, to save them from going out of business. To less than 2 decades later, to be in Europe, let alone potentially in the Champions League, is an incredible journey.
It's an amazing turn of events, though, isn't it? The fact that they've never played in Europe before and their first experience could be in the Champions League.
It's incredible. What? Listen, I love Bournemouth and I want them to be in Europe, definitely, but would it be a good thing for Bournemouth in the Champions League?
That's a great question because of the squad cost ratio thing that is going to come in next year in the Premier League, and also in terms of UEFA and the way that they manage their financial restrictions.
Yeah, but therefore it's going to be better for them to be in the Champions League. Obviously, you get more money than the Europa League.
Yeah.
In terms of their development, probably is a little bit too early, but you're not going to pass up the chance.
Oh, no way.
I think it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity because you can't imagine that Chelsea under Alonso will be so poor next season. You can't imagine that Liverpool are going to lose as many games as they have. And even if Tottenham stay up, I actually think their future is a lot brighter under Roberto De Zerbi. So
how do they keep doing it though, Crookie? Because, Semenyo goes, Howson goes, Kirkes goes. The players that come in, look at Ryan.
Good recruitment.
The Brazilian squad.
Good recruitment. Not just the players. Once Richard Hughes left as the sporting director, they got Thiago Pinto and Simon Francis working together.
Yeah.
They're doing a fantastic job. Simon's going to leave at the end of the season. Thiago's going to take over as the overlord of the recruitment, which I think he's been doing pretty much anyway. But they keep recruiting the best people that they can find, people that are not working at the major clubs, and developing younger talent. Look at Ryan, for example.
Unbelievable.
The fact that they bought him in and he's now in the Brazil squad ahead of João Pedro.
Why, if he shines at the World Cup, what's he worth then?
Well, he's got a €100 million release clause in his contract, which might
for that reason.
Which might seem quite shrewd from Bournemouth.
And look how long Kluivert's been out for a lot of the season, injured as well.
And how well has Eli Junior Krupi played?
Exactly. Yeah, Bournemouth are a good, stable club, and I'll be so happy for them to get Champions League football.
But it all is all being determined by whatever Aston Villa do on Sunday.
Well, they'll lose.
And Liverpool.
Villa will lose, won't they? Come on. It's Pep's last game.
Pep's last game. So all games kick off at 4 o'clock. Manchester City take on Aston Villa at the Etihad in front of the newly named Pep Guardiola stand.
City will win.
On his final game in charge. Yes. Will the emotion get to them? Can Aston Villa take advantage of that?
No, I think Manchester City definitely win. Pep's last game, all the players are going to want to go off on that game and put in a performance for the manager.
Okay,
and
so
also,
if that happens, then Liverpool have to beat Brentford.
I don't trust Liverpool to beat Brentford. I really don't. Leverpool know they've got top 5 guaranteed, unless it's crazy goal swing. Is it 8 goals? Is it?
And Brentford need to win because they can leapfrog Chelsea and potentially get into Europe themselves, into the Conference League.
They've stopped winning now, haven't they, Brentford? You know, they're not losing many games, but they're not winning many either. But I agree with Gabby. You know, Liverpool at home to Brentford, last day of the season. Back in August, you'd have thought, well, that's a guaranteed 3 points, but they can't be trusted, Liverpool. And you've got this dressing room revolt that's been led by Mo Salah. What kind of impact is that going to have?
I think it's what Aston Villa, McGinn, Rodgers, Konsa, Watkins, World Cup on their mind. You take it a bit easy. You're going to maybe
Europa
not want
League.
it to be. You're still
Europa League
recovering.
hangover.
Exactly, recovering. You'd back Manchester City to win that. And Bournemouth have got to put their hands together and pray that Liverpool can
have
turn
to
up.
make sure that they do it, don't they? Just in case.
But isn't it the goal difference swing, though, has to be a bit crazy, isn't it?
It does have to be crazy.
Yeah, so Liverpool can still afford to lose and still get top 5. And
Even so,
I know.
Liverpool can't afford to
Come on,
lose
Mo
another
Salah, do
home
Bournemouth
game,
a favour.
can
Well, you wouldn't have thought so.
Well, Arne Slot can't afford to lose another home game.
No, I mean, there were more whispers this week, weren't there, that Arne Slot was going to go and Iriola was going to replace him. That's been played down by
Played
my
down
sources.
or
shot down. If they get in the Champions League, and it seems unlikely they won't, I do expect Arne Slot to start the season as Liverpool manager, but
He's got a lot of relationships to rebuild by the looks of it.
Well, a lot of those players may well move on.
Well, the players, but not just the players, but the supporters as well. There's a lot to do there, isn't there?
It's a massive summer.
And I feel a little bit sorry for him. We've already said this, I think, that we've sort of got on quite well with him whenever we've met him.
Yeah.
But it does feel like there's a massive disconnect. And, you know, the people that have gone to watch Liverpool this season have not enjoyed that.
Oh, they haven't, of course, but that's no excuse for Mo Salah. You've been at the club for, 9 seasons? You've been a legend of the football club, one of the best ever players, and you're leaving on a sour note, trying to get the manager sacked with those comments. Not needed. And if I was Arne Slot, which you can't do because you'll lose all the Liverpool fans, I would bring him on for a couple of minutes, mate. Go on then. Go and get your round of applause. I wouldn't start him.
It's a stunning lack of self-awareness from a player who has been a million miles off where he was last season. Actually, if you're going to start chucking people under the bus as he did, take a look at yourself.
Well, talking about being a million miles away, back on Monday morning, Middlesbrough were a million miles away from the Premier League. Now, they're just 90 minutes. Live commentary tomorrow of the Championship playoff final is on talkSPORT. We'll preview Hull against Middlesbrough. Yeah, Middlesbrough, next.
I thought it was great at the end of the game, the way the players were with him.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
Emi Martinez picked him up.
Because we saw a wee side to him that you don't see.
Yes.
We saw a different side to him.
What was funny, though, when Emi Martinez picks him up, on the clip behind, you can see the players are a bit like Tyrone Mings. They're laughing like, oh, my God, how has he done that?
Yeah.
Because then they know that, like, the manager's not really like that. He doesn't like to be the centre of attention.
Yeah.
But it was incredible scenes, Ali, afterwards. So emotional for so many Villa fans. And we were lucky to be in the stadium.
Brilliant.
All the clips back home, Ali, like, so many places showed the game. Thousands of fans on the streets still now celebrating across the world. How many fans I spoke to last night that have come from Australia?
See,
They've got 4 flights to get here.
Same.
Some fans have not had a hotel room overnight. They've got the early flight this morning, so they just stayed up. Some fans have got to get them back through Germany, through different parts of Europe to get home. But what that win means for every Aston Villa fan in the world, Ali, it's just unbelievable. I can't describe in words, and I hope we get some good callers on today. And they'll have their stories of what this means.
I'm
to
sure
them.
we will, mate.
Yeah.
Okay, 6:20. We're the champions, of course, rang out at Besiktas Park as Aston Villa get their hands on that Europa League trophy. I wonder if you've learnt the words by now, Gab. Here's
I
your
know, mate, I know.
Well, listen, we're going to bring you back down there for a crashing bang, my friend. Here's your rendition of that classic last night in the stadium. Fantastic. Good on you. I was just
hilarious, mate.
I met all the Villa fans before the game, man, and they were brilliant, Gabby. Brilliant. Older gentlemen, young boys.
Ali, there's been no incidents.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Listen up, it's talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface and Gabby Agbonlahor with Alex Crook. We're here right the way through until 1 o'clock, and with the 2026 World Cup almost here, thanks to Adidas, the tournament's official match ball supplier, talkSPORT is sending you and a friend to Dallas. Yes, that's Texas. And Crookie's going to be there as well. And he's already told me he's going to get a cowboy hat. Shaped, I think you said, and measured up. You could be at England's first game against Croatia, which is in Texas on June the 17th. We've got return flights, accommodation, spending money, tickets, and the official Adidas match ball, the Trionda, all thrown in as well. If you want to get that winning feeling, this is what you have to do to enter. You just have to, for your chance to win, go to talksportwin.com or text WIN to 83338. Text and online entries cost £2.50 plus your standard message rate. Or you can call 0343 418 7260. Entries must be in by the 1st of June at 4 o'clock. That's when you need to answer your phone if indeed you are the winner. It's 18 plus, UK residents only. It's a talkSPORT promotion. Full T's and C's are available at talksportwin.com. So for your chance to enter, text WIN now to 83338.
Joker.
Christian Romero's just been shown on our big screen here, which is why Gabby reacted such
tears of a clown.
Crocodile tears.
Leave him alone. He might be very, very badly injured, and he might have family commitments.
What was he doing the day after picking up that injury? We got a bit of inside knowledge, haven't we?
He went to get his American visa.
The US Embassy, to get his American visa. What a company man. What a leader.
Gabs, you were in Istanbul this week, weren't you? But did you see all the images back home of all the Villa fans in that warehouse?
Yeah, I love being there, but I saw the warehouse at Villa Park. Got the biggest screen in the UK as well to watch a game as well. And the fans are going wild. And luckily, I'm going to be there, and also a lot of other talent from talkSPORT were there during the summer for every World Cup game.
That's going to be familiar surroundings for you, isn't it? Watching a summer tournament at home.
Oh, Crookie! That's not nice, mate. I can't bite a Crookie. It'd be nice to be on the plane, mate, but I'll be there. But listen, it'll be exciting, especially after Villa winning Europa League. Villa fans will be excited, but any fans are welcome of any teams. Birmingham City fans can come. Wolves, West Brom. We're all part of the same West Midlands.
Arsenal fans?
They can come as well. My mate, Bal, he got me through the American Embassy in 9 minutes. visa sorted.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I love
Top
Arsenal.
lad.
Arsenal, top team,
Top
top
lad.
fans. Yeah.
No, it looks a magnificent venue, doesn't it? That's the Warehouse at Villa Park, and we'll be doing loads of stuff on talkSPORT from there as well. It's the talkSPORT fan zone. Every single England game shown live. Absolutely brilliant. And if you want to find out more, tickets are absolutely flying for that already. But if you want to find out a bit more about it, head to talksport.com/fanzone to get yours now. A big day tomorrow. The future of the Southampton head coach Tonda Eka is in doubt, could face FA charges. But the game itself, Hull against Middlesbrough, how fair a contest is this going to be?
I think it's really tough on Hull because they spent over a week, as I understand it, going through their preparation to play Southampton. They were off on Wednesday. They trained yesterday. They'll train again today and then travel down to London. So only 2 training sessions effectively to prepare for a new opponent. If you're Middlesbrough, there's only been 2 scenarios. One, that you don't get your place in the playoff final because Southampton stay in, or 2, you play Hull. So clearly it's an advantage for Middlesbrough, the fact they've only been training for one opponent, whereas Hull have had to change their plans. And
Do you think Middlesbrough would have been training properly, though, bearing in mind they weren't entirely sure they were going to get back in?
I think so, yes. I think if you're there, why not? You know, the players didn't go away on holiday. If you're there and there's a chance, they would have spoke to their lawyers, maybe said to them there's a great chance of this getting overturned. Train as if, like, you're going to be in that final. But Hull City, like Crookie says there, I do feel sorry for them, but everyone's been writing them off, haven't they? A lot of people thought Millwall would comfortably beat them over 2 legs. So they're there to disappoint.
Is this the most extraordinary playoff final in history? It's the 40th anniversary of the playoffs this year. Have you ever had a scenario like this? The only other time where someone has been removed from promotion was Swindon, and that was after the effect. But to have a team replace another one in a championship playoff final, the richest game in football, is extraordinary.
It is, and actually, I don't envy the EFL and what they've had to go through this week. I spoke to somebody there yesterday, and he said to me, there are no winners in this scenario, really. You know, this is not how we wanted the build-up to this final to play out. Obviously, Hull have got their complaints, Middlesbrough are in limbo, and then you've got the Southampton situation, which I think is still to fully unravel. But the good thing is we still have a championship playoff final to look forward to.
Because there was a point where we thought it was going to be delayed.
Yeah, delayed, or maybe even a scenario where Hull City could just be sent up automatically without the need to play a final. That was probably never really going to happen because obviously the EFL want their day in the Wembley sunshine, and why not? But yeah, I think it's a shame that the 40th anniversary has been tarnished in this way. But there's only one victim. Only one reason for that, and that's Southampton. And, we all saw the full findings of that independent panel yesterday. Tonda Eka, the manager, for me, his position is untenable. I can't believe he's not been removed of his duties already. And I think there's members of the hierarchy there who've got serious questions to answer as well. Southampton's reputation is going to take a long time to recover from this.
And not just with people who are not Southampton fans. I was in the playground at pickup time the other day, and someone who's a massive Southampton fan pulled me the week before and said, everyone's doing it, don't worry about it, it's an absolute nonsense, why are you lot all making a big noise about it? Then last week, Thursday night, after reading the written reasons, he said to me, do you know what? I'm embarrassed by the whole thing. I want them all to go. I want it all over. I want it finished. I want nothing to do with it. Let's just get back to playing in the Championship, and we'll try again next year.
It affects the fans the most, doesn't it? But as an ex-player, I'm thinking of it as a player's point of view. Probably $500,000 each, maybe, if they got promoted. Maybe wages double. Millions of pounds the players are losing. I'll for sure be contacting my lawyer quickly.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. I'm sure there'll be a lot that comes out in the fullness of time, and actually be a good idea for you to join us tomorrow afternoon when we break all of that down as we build up to the Championship playoff final. Crook will be there for that, and I'm sure he's got a lot more to say on it. Gabby, we will see you next week. Will we see
Thursday,
you?
yes.
Will we see you next week?
Yeah, I'll be there, mate.
Good. Are you coming here?
I will be
At
there,
the darts.
mate. As long as I get the treatment that Crookie gets at MGM.
I doubt it.
Quite special.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Really appreciate your patience with us because it's been a very, very busy 3 hours. We've had the England squad announced, 26-man squad going to the World Cup, which we're very excited about on talkSPORT. We're bringing you every single game across the talkSPORT network. We've got Ivan Toney in, Maguire out, Foden out, and of course Palmer out as well. Michael Carrick has signed a 2-year contract to be the manager of Manchester United, and Pep Guardiola is leaving Manchester City, and he's having a stand named after him. The final day of the season, Sunday afternoon, loads of things to sort out. Relegation, European places, everything will unfold with Adrian Durham on talkSPORT Sunday. See you then.
with Villa, right, Unai Emery is the man. He is, like, he has full control over everything. Transfers, youth club, there's no one telling him what to do. And, like, there's been rumours about him going to Madrid.